Thank you, Portland, for allowing us to come into your space. We honor that. We definitely respect that. You all are doing the doggone thing, and the country sees it, and we're here. My name is Samantha Hudson, and I am a native of Chicago, Illinois. I was born and raised in Chicago, and grew up I grew up in a housing project that some of you all may not be familiar with. It's called the Penny Lane. 19 years of my life was spent in that housing project. So where I am today, I reside in Atlanta. I am a mother of 4 awesome children. I just graduated my first college student, the first African American male in my bloodline to attend and graduate college, December the 19th, 2009. My background is real simple. It's real. And over now, I'm at 20 years of public service as a mental health social worker, now working as an educator for Atlanta Public Schools, and also policy consultant and community organizing. I'm here today really to engage you guys on a real level. And so we want to get right into this because we are late and I'm not the only one on this panel. We want to make sure that we bring a lot of meaning and value to your time while you're here because you did not have to choose to come to this event. And so with this objective, you guys are going to help us identify if we are really in that place. So we want to have a point of contact to reach you all, and you can understand where we're coming from and why we're really here today, because we really want to leave here with some solutions. So today, and y'all, I'm over 40 now, so hold up. Can you help me with your phone? Okay. All right, everybody, I'm loud. The mic is all off the chain right about now.
Yeah, try that.
All right, thank you. Thank you, guys. Sorry about that. So today, right, we are here. Why are we here? Why did I fly in and all these people, most of these people are here today to talk about this conversation about systemic racism, right? In America, no secret. And this dialogue, we want to move from just action to change, right? And so how are we going to do that and why are we here? We're here to raise the consciousness of Portland citizens on the nature and extent of systemic oppression has had on the Black community in order to guide our white allies and others who desire to use their privilege, abandon their prejudicial opinions, perspectives, and be sincere in their efforts and outreach for policy reform.
Just hold it a little ways from your face.
Oh, is this my turn?
Yes, tell us who you are.
All right, so my name is Kevin David Williams. I am on the internet with Kevin David Williams, and I've been very transparent about my participation in this protest cycle for varying amounts of reasons that I won't get into because this is an introduction. I initially began with the mutual aid aspect of protesting as my primary function. Having been a street kid and in the city, I was very intimate with the details of downtown. All the things that go along with being homeless gives you a very intimate knowledge of where to be, where not to be seen, how to be safe, where it's going to be, where you're able to catch a breath. And obviously, with this cycle, we've had to catch a breath many times. My activism began through my mother, who in San Francisco was at the forefront of the lesbian activism in the city, which then transferred to Portland, where she was the head LCP, Lesbian Community Project, and a slew of other stuff which is just about her. But I learned it from her and worked with the AIDS Foundation in San Francisco as a small child and with Cascades Project, and then with Mesper trials and stuff in the 90s when we had a lot of racial disability come to the forefront of the news when they declared Portland as Little Beirut. And it's just grown from there. I'm embarrassed to say personally that I haven't put as much into it as I should have, and I hold myself accountable by doubling probably what I should be doing now. And that's pretty much me. I'm just an all-go, try to help where I can, jack of all trades, and I'm proud and happy to be here with everyone on this panel and with all of you. And I thank you for your time.
How's everybody doing? My name is Frank Nitty. I'm a community activist. I pretty much travel across the country and try to organize different groups of Black Lives Matter activists. We all have to be on the same page. And we have to be effective in what we're trying to do. This is a national movement. It's not a local movement. And we have to make sure that we remind ourselves that what we do across the country affects each other. So as I go around, I travel for years. I fight for families that don't have a voice, or for families that usually don't get a lot of attention or national attention for the things that they do. And I pretty much try to use my platform to bring light to those situations and cases that a lot of people don't bring light to. This is a revolution, and through our own outlets is how we have to tell these stories, because they won't tell the truth. They'll make sure that it's all slanted. They'll make sure that we're not connected. We stay together no matter what, and stick together and fight it out. So I'll talk more when it's my time to talk. That's pretty much my introduction to who I am.
I go by Todd. I'm from Northeast Portland, but I live in Eugene, Oregon. I organize a part of a group called Black Community, and I'm organizing on a national level. In the last couple of months, I've been in other states, marching and help organizing stuff. I'm a practicing abolitionist for abolishing the police and justice system reform. And yeah, I'm 20 years old. I play basketball at Main Community College. I'm a full-time student and a full-time activist.
So I'm Garrett Floyd, activist, community organizer, mutual aid provider. So I'm just going to touch on this real lightly. Case of George Floyd, all of the people involved in murdering him are free, which is part of the system that we're going to be talking about. Qualified immunity, things of that nature. I just want to make sure you guys understand that systemic racism is only one form of racism. It's only one form of racism. And we will be addressing that today. Thank you.
So, thank you very much. So the first question, what we'll be doing is that we'll be asking the audience to answer, to give a response to a question, and then we'll have somebody from the panel, or everybody from the panel answer. And the first one is pretty basic, but important. What is systemic racism? Anybody want to answer in the crowd? If not, I'm just going to hand it to somebody. Anybody? Or somebody in the panel? Okay.
Systemic racism is something that affects an entire system. So it's not like the actual system, it's something that affects the entire system as racism. So it's basically like something that would impact parts of a system that ruins it and makes it racism. Basically, it's what systemic racism is.
when we are talking about systemic racism, it is very important that we understand that we are looking at over 400 years of structured racism on one.
Just hold it far.
One, systemic racism is rooted in chattel slavery, over 400 years of oppression of black people. Systemic racism is specific to the black melanated human being on this earth. It has been one of the United States government's most passionate affections in oppressing one particular group of people. Documented in our history, we have the United States government in owning that truth through Jim Crow laws. When we talk about systemic racism, we have to understand how the biology, the psychological, the sociological, and the economic damage that this system set out to do. When we look at biology of systemic racism, we're talking about even how slave masters bred children during slavery. It was only certain type of men and women who lay down together because we had to breed a certain type of slave. When we begin to move into our history, we gotta understand that there are elements that have impacted this particular system, and it has afforded no opportunity for black or brown individuals to have equity or equality in no shape, form, or fashion in any institution in America. So systemic racism is what you see, is what you see on the news, is what you feel when you are on your job. Systemic racism is the red line. Systemic racism is lack of access to mental health care. Systemic racism is lack of access to regular health care. Redlining, bank loans, systemic racism, the food to food pipeline. And so very briefly, I'll say this and I'll pass this mic, because I have been a victim on every level of systemic racism. Growing up in the city of Chicago, I dropped out of high school at 16 years old and became pregnant. There was no one there to support, no one there to guide, no one there, no one cared. In my community, the average life expectancy of a black male was 18 years old. The social welfare policies in 1980 indicated that it was more likely than a black African American girl to become pregnant before the age of 18 than she would go to college. The same statistics for black boys, that it was more likely for black boys to enter into a prison cell before going to college. And I sit here today as a parent of one of those black men. At the age of 14 years old, entered into the Illinois Juvenile Corrections Facility, and at 33 years old, still now continues that journey in a state penitentiary in the state of Illinois. You'll hear more as we go about systemic racism, but I just wanted to share that with you guys to help you understand that when we begin to talk about racism, it is not about what you read. It is not about what you hear. It is not about the textbook version. This is real life. It's rooted in biology. Think about that. It's rooted in psychology. I'm saying it again. It's rooted in sociology. And it's rooted in the economics. So when you look at all of your institutions, you're going to see a black out and a black not, but you're going to see a white have and always will. That's systemic racism.
I guess I will touch on a specific aspect of systemic racism that you may or may not be aware of. I am going to ask a couple questions of you, though. With a show of hands, how many of you are property owners? Okay, how many of you are renters? Okay, how many of you feel or think that you can get a loan on an equal basis as someone who's a different color. Yeah? I know it was tough when I worded that weird. This all ties into redlining, for those of you who aren't familiar with what that is and how it works. Imagine a system that says where you live and the people around you determines whether or not you get a loan, whether or not you can accrue wealth, whether you can accrue property, whether you can pass something on to your family after you've worked hard for 30 years. Nope, you're locked into renting because you live in the wrong zip code. Because the majority of your zip code is darker than flesh tone crayons. Just think about that. That's systemic racism. It's built into the system. It's not something that people who actually go to work for the system think about, because the policy that's already in place is accepted by everyone around you, forcing you to be the one person that has to stand up and say this is wrong, which is why we're here, to stand up and say this is wrong. And
Does anybody else want to comment on system? On what system?
All right, you got it turned on? Yeah. Let's go ahead and give it a test.
Let's go.
All right.
Let's go.
Anymore.
So, once again, systemic racism is just one form of racism. The definition of systemic racism is it is embedded into society as a normal practice, a social practice. So, with it being a social practice, it gives you an idea to the depth of how bad racism has become to social practice. Systemic racism is also institutional racism and structural racism, all in one and the same. It is embedded into all aspects of our medical, homeowners, like you just talked about, any type of financial institution. It is all based on a system that was embedded within our society hundreds of years ago. So now it seems as if there's nothing wrong, and it is all wrong. So that means that the system has been embedded, and it's working way too well. And the part about the systemic means that it just constantly recycles itself. So right now, it's running on autopilot, and it has been. There's nobody pushing buttons or nothing, because it seems as if it is a normal practice. And so what that means is, no one even is paying attention to it, because it seems as if it's normal. It's normal for Black and brown people to not own homes. To see all the hands that went up renting speaks volumes. Everyone in here should own a home. Everyone in here has a right to own property. That's a very important example when it comes to the systemic part of racism.
So I am late. My name is Tamia Deary. I'm the Executive Director of PDS Alliance for Self-Care, and I also provide leadership for the EWOC's Medic and Crisis Support Collective, interim chair of the Board for Campus Compact of Oregon, and I'm also on the board for the Community Health Center that oversees the Multnomah County Health Centers. So, and she or they for inclusion. So we're talking about systemic racism. One of the reasons that I try to be in so many different places is because systems of oppression are everywhere, and I want to amplify what you said, Gary. They are working exactly as they were intended, and so now they seem normal. And the only way that we can fight them is if we recognize them. I don't feel like I can add anything to all these great definitions, but I just wanted to say thank you for having me today. looking forward to answering questions that I never hasn't spoken.
We got a new mic, I guess, y'all, so we won't have too many problems. And it's all the time, and I want to make sure that they always got a good perspective of what's going on. It's very important that we think about not only the numbers in the room, but the numbers at home that can't make it and understand what we talking about. So systematic racism is like basically the policies and practices that exist throughout a whole society or organization. So a lot of times we talk about the obvious things when it comes to systematic racism, the school systems, just pretty much the neighborhoods, the way that we were raised, the way that we grow up, the financial literacy that's not taught in our community. Obviously, the red line in the property, that's a major thing, not owning property. We always remember that, justice, in the justice system, we can get all the laws changed that we want, but if we don't own anything, if they still own everything, then we won't have any changes. You know what I mean? So at some point, you got to realize that the scale is a scale because on one side you have equality and on the other side you have equity. So it's very important to remember what they said about equity. But, there we go. When I think about systematic racism, I think about it in a manner that we may not think about it in a way that we could change things. For example, we have a lot of white people that's sitting in here. So systematic racism is white privilege. That's a form of systematic racism. When you think about the fact that at home, you have every white person has a white person that they know that's racist. And they allow them to live in that circle that they live in. They continue to do business with these white people. They continue to eat dinner with these white people. You know what I mean? And these white people are allowed to operate a certain way in our society without anybody ever questioning their behavior. That's a form of systematic racism. Because you're programmed to think like that. You're raised to think that it's okay that your dad is a racist. You know what I mean? You're raised to think that there's no way that I can talk to my cousin or my brother about the racism that he has inside of him. And those are the things that I think about when you talk about systematic racism, because those ideas are the things that create systematic racism. Those people grow up and they move. Some of those kids don't grow up rejecting their father and their mom's ideas like the people in this room and the people that protest with us. Some of those kids, they grow up idolizing their parents and wanting to be everything like their parents. So when that is impeded inside of them, when those privileges are said to be something that they should have and not be ashamed of, and when that behavior is something that they believe is something that no one has ever said in front of them. No other parent has ever said to the parent, hey, don't say that in front of my kid. No cousin, no brother. They just allow it to happen. Then the kids grow up thinking it's okay. And that's a part of a system that creates individuals that grow up in small towns that don't know anything about black people, go to college and then get a job in a black city. Go to college and get a job in a major city. And now they're not the judge of their own people. They're not the lawyers of their own people. They're not the individuals that are going to prosecute their own people. They're prosecuting the people that they've always heard negative things about their whole life. And when you look at a society that grows up like that, as we try to expand and we try to grow, we have to remember that in order to fight systematic racism, it's not just about the politicians. It's not just about the millionaires and billionaires that control everything that we do. It's also about the people that's on the ground and the people like us at the bottom that allow people to exert that racism. The white people that are at home right now watching, that have a cousin and a brother and a sister and even a lover, a husband, that says, why are you going out there protesting with them black people? Why are you going out there marching with them black people? Why are you going out there filming those black people? Those are the people that we need to fight systematic racism against. And those are the people that I like to worry about, because those are the people that we can alienate right now. Those are the individuals and the things that we can change right now. We said we want to leave this room with change. So when y'all go home, make sure that y'all point that out and let those white racist people know in y'all family, y'all not going to continue to support what they do with them being racist, and don't do business with them, and change that the way that you think and govern your own personal lives.
I just want to real quick, because I heard systemic racism and I heard systematic racism, and I just wanted to touch on how those are two different things. So like, what systematic racism is basically things that are put in place, like a whole entire system put in place to hold down black people. So something that's like systematic racism would be like mass incarceration or redlining. So it's like an entire system that is put in place to hold down Black people and not help them succeed. Systemic racism is basically like people participating in different parts of systematic racism. So like systemic racism would be like you going in to the bank to get a loan, but redlining is stopping you as a whole from getting a loan for your property. But systemic racism is the person that is literally stopping you from getting that loan. They're participating in systematic racism. So there's a difference between the two when we're talking about systemic racism. That is like personal racism that is affecting you. That is a part of the whole as systematic racism.
To not confuse anyone, let's bring it systemic as an English teacher, chronic. Something that is deeply rooted, something that is intertwined, cannot be broken unless forcibly removed. We got that? Okay, so I'm going to shift a little because one of the things as we begin to think about this space, right, we want to be authentic in this space because you guys came here for a reason. A lot has been going on in Portland, and we're going to address the elephant in the room. Because I flew across the country because I was very concerned about the outcries in this community. And I just want to pause to say thank you to Carissa for being courageous and opening up and doing something new and different, and that she owned that I didn't know anything about how to do this. But she cared enough and wanted to move toward change for Portland to have this venue. So I just want to pause right now and let's give her some love really quickly so we can know. So we got the keys out of the way right now, so we're going to get to the real stuff. And the real stuff is that there is a narrative that I have grave concern about that's going across our country, not just in Portland. Our plight is not a hashtag. Hashtag Black Lives Matter does not represent the Black plight. That may be hard for some people to understand in this room, but I'm going to share with you that it is a politically engineered organization, and not one dime is benefiting the Black children in the bloodshed. Let's start there. And so white people in the room, you can't be here and be comfortable because we got to have this conversation. That when we talk about systemic racism, we're also talking about a mindset. And it is your responsibility to come into this room and be ready and prepared to release those prejudices. Make a commitment that you are going to unlearn and learn how you can align yourself with the Black community. Because see, what I understand about Black Lives Matter and allies, everyone is not for us. You are part of the movement, but you are not for us. Being a part of the movement and not being for us, what does that look like? Portland is a corporate head. I did my homework. I want to know, how did Black Lives Matter before George Floyd's death in Portland? When I looked at your school systems and identified that you now only have 3 minority middle schools left in the state, in the city of Portland, and when we talk about the minority, I think it was 1 middle school or high school, but there are 3 to 4. Most of them are been phased out. So to those who have privilege in the room, you have to understand that your privilege requires you to align yourself in a way where your mouth is speaking to your lawmakers about Black lives mattering in Portland and making sure that they have access to mental health care, that they have access to equity in education, that they have access to appropriate housing and mental health services. And I keep saying access because Portland is rich in resources. You are not shy of resources here. So if you want to really spiral this movement for black people, Portland, we need for you to set the narrative straight. Over 400 years of oppression of black people leaves us right now the most hated, the most degraded, the most segregated human race on this earth. And that's a problem. And until we matter, there will be no peace. And so I want to help the allies in this room understand what your role is. You don't need to be leading a march. You don't need to be there. Your tax dollars is going to move mountains. It's something wrong when the per capita income in Portland is not less than $45,000 and schools in black communities are being closed. What have you done to align yourself with the policies in this city? What are the policy focuses that the ACLU have as it relates to the black plight in Portland? Take notes, I'm going there because I want you all to understand that, yes, we want direct action. I'm for it. I don't give a doggone about nobody burning down no building or none of that. No, but don't do it in the name of a black life. We don't need another negative nothing attached to us already. Let my people go. And I came here today and I wrote a whole lot of stuff, y'all. I studied, I researched because I want to do justice when I come into this space with Portland and let you all know that I cared enough to know what you all were about. And so I saw that you guys had the courage. You all about that life, but it is about really the black life.
Facts, speak to it. Speak to it.
So we have to address that in this room. So when we talk about our objective, hold us accountable now, because our objective is to raise the consciousness of Portland citizens. So we got to be on the same page in this room. And then in that, in order to, why are we raising the consciousness? In order to help you to relinquish that negative prejudices, comfortable, and all that other privilege that you have so that you can get to a place where you understand that you write the letter of the law with your tax dollars. We don't own the homes. We don't. And so I'm going to move from here, but I'm going to relinquish this question because we got to keep this moving. Carissa asked you all in the audience, what is systemic racism? And no one in here bothered to say anything. That's the problem. It's going to get uncomfortable in here, but we're going to leave out right. So we're going to ask you that question again. And before that question comes, I'm going to lay the question on the table. How have you benefited from systemic racism? Hey, come on, y'all.
I got grants to go to design school. I can go into stores and not be profiled. I can, I don't know, hi. I have, I mean, my whole life as a white woman is benefiting off of systemic racism. I don't get questioned as much. I don't get profiled as angry if I'm speaking my opinion. It's endless. I mean, it's freaking endless. I can just keep, yeah, there's just so many. There's so many off the top of my head. Thank you.
benefit. So if you can't answer, how have you benefited, we can talk about what are the benefits of systemic racism.
Am I supposed to speak about that?
How have you benefited from systemic racism as a black man?
I mean, I don't benefit from systemic racism.
What would be the benefits of it?
The benefits of systemic racism would be things like going in for something like a loan and getting a loan because of the color of your skin, or getting accepted into a college, or like the thing about systemic racism. Yeah, it's like I was about to speak on that. So the thing about systemic racism is literally like people think that racism doesn't exist, but it's like if it really didn't exist, we wouldn't have to put like what ethnicity you are on like a job application, what ethnicity you are on like an apartment application. Like that stuff matters because they look at that stuff, and that is benefiting from systemic racism. Someone who has more or maybe the same amount as knowledge as you on something, like a job application, and you go in and like that person's name or that person's hair, like they're black, like they don't get that job just for that reason. That is systemic racism. Okay. Well, also to speak on what my sister was talking about just a second ago, as far as the Black Lives Matter movement versus the Black Lives Matter organization. I don't know how many of you guys know much about the Black Lives Matter organization, but we are not the same. Like, I cannot stress that enough. We are not the same as the Black Lives Matter organization. We do things very different. We are grassroots. We are in the streets, and we are pushing for policies. We are not a political movement. We're here for human rights. And then something also, I've been reading this book. It's called Post-Traumatic Slave Syndrome. It's by Jordan Groom. I suggest that you watch it. Or not watch it, read it. But it's a really good book. And basically, when she was talking about coming in and unlearning these things of white supremacy, the trauma that we live with when we're born is something similar that white people have to live with when they're born as well. And it's the trauma of white supremacy. And post-traumatic slave syndrome is literally like us being affected by what our ancestors went through, which is why we have things in the black community like colorism and stuff like that, and like black parents being a little bit more aggressive towards their parents, that stuff, or towards their kids. That stuff comes from post-traumatic slave syndrome, and white supremacy is exactly the same. Unlearning those things that your ancestors were doing to black people and stuff that you're doing unknowingly, you have to wake up every morning and practice unlearning those things as a white person, because the most dangerous place for a black person to live is in a white person's imagination. Because white people are so afraid of us. Like, so just understanding that we have to unlearn those things of slavery and what it was like to be a slave, those slave tendencies. We have to unlearn that stuff as black people, and white people, you have to unlearn those white supremacy traits of thinking that you are better, thinking that you have to compete in a way that you have to be on top, feel like you always have to take up the most space in the room. Those are unlearning things of white supremacy.
Yeah, and just to elaborate on that, I'm not going to get into specifics and air out any negative things about the protests here in Portland, but I'm just going to say this. There is racism within the protest. And as far as the benefits, it's so normal that we only had one white female speak up about the benefits of systemic racism. It seems so normal that only one white female, and even you, miss, it's hard to think of everything because it's so normal.
Thought of a bunch after.
See? That's just how it works. Two polar opposites, white, black, polar opposites. It's normal for the average white teenager to get a car for their 16th birthday.
I need a car, so. I got a long car.
Vacations with the family in the cabin, trips to the beach, it's normal. Surfing, jet skiing, it's normal. I know nothing about that. That would definitely be considered luxury within the Black community. Because if you're doing those things, unfortunately for us Black folk, you either bounce and dribble in the ball or got a mic in your hand. So, in order for us to achieve some of the things that you guys just by right have gotten, we need to prance around, dance around, be above and beyond some physical. And that's about, I'm not even going to go into percentages. Will never be Michael Jordan or Frank Nitti. just to put it out there. And so it's so normal that you guys have to understand what Ty was telling you. You really have to unlearn everything. And you need to think about that. You need to think about it. Because it's 100% all the way. It's not 70, 80, 50, 40. John Lewis said, unless you're willing to change everything, nothing will change. And for our white allies, that literally starts with you, and you need to internalize that. Unless you're willing to change everything, everything. Black and brown lives don't need people to align with them that aren't willing to understand at least what it is that we are trying to accomplish. And if you don't have the willingness to even attempt to do that, you are putting black and brown lives in danger. You are contributing to the systematic oppression of black and brown people. And you are one of the ones on the front line, like I said. You're actually actively involved in systemic racism. And to be out here on the front lines, all of us, and to see stuff on social media where you have white people attacking black people within the movement, So, if you're gonna ally yourselves with anyone, any movement, any person, any ideology, it's 100% complete, total, without a question. If you don't have the ability to take direction within the movement, then there's no movement.
There's no space for you.
We all have opinions, and right now, it's not the time. So you will ally yourselves with us in the struggle, or we appreciate y'all. Peace out.
Amen. I wanted to first talk about my own privilege, my life skin privilege, that I benefit from every day in so many ways. I am just subjected to less hateful, outright, blatant, macro-aggressive racism as I walk down the street and go to the store and a million other things. That's just when I'm in the world. And when I first started thinking about trying to take up space within my black community with my light skin privilege, one of my friends gave me an article that talked about how light-skinned black people need to step back and make space for darker-skinned black women and femmes in leadership. And I remember when I read that,
I had a moment of like, but what do you mean? Like, I worked my ass off to get white people to listen to me for 30 seconds, and you want me to like give that up for somebody else? And then I was like, oh shit, that's my fragility. And like sitting with that shitty feeling of like realizing that I was like benefiting from and then also pushing back against the reality was a really like important turning point in the work that I try to do for our community. So I do always try to amplify and elevate the voices of darker skinned Black women and femmes who have so much fucking hardship to get through every fucking day. And the other thing I wanted to mention along with that, when we were talking about post-traumatic slave syndrome, is epigenetics and trauma. The way that the 400 plus years of our people's enslavement has changed our DNA so that we are more susceptible to the stress and also in some ways more resilient. Yes? So when I'm talking about systemic racism, I'm always thinking about it from the DNA out.
So I'm listening to everybody like answer the questions, and I think about a lot of things a lot of times. Like, for example, do we really need the racist people at this point? Like, do we trust them if we actually do teach them about systematic racism and they say, oh, I get it now? You know what I mean? Don't we kind of like I think about the people in this room, like how many of the white people in this room did get a car at 16? You see what I mean? It's sort of like when you ask how many white people in this room are homeowners. So a lot of times I think about like, will they even hear the message? Because we're not like talking to them. We talking to the white people that like are poor with us. A lot of times, to be honest, like I know they don't say nothing because they feel like they don't want to be rude or disrespectful, but they be sitting there like, I didn't get a car. Like, I don't own my home. Like, I'm broke, man. All my friends have been black my whole life. I get it, okay? Like, you know what I mean? You know what I mean? Like, do we really think we be talking to the racist white people that like don't care about what's going on with the Black Lives Matter when we speak like on my live? Do I really think that this is the racist white people that are listening to this? No. You know, those are the things I think about, like when I think about my allies. Like one of the interesting things I heard was about the racism inside of the protest. See, that's a problem. That's something we need to talk about. That's something that have to be addressed. Things like that, because that's the group that's sitting here now. You know what I mean? When we talk about the things that's going on in these communities. So I was thinking about that, and I appreciate everything everybody said was like so on point. But like, do we have the audience that's gonna listen to that needs to be convinced? Or do we have the audience that we need to strengthen and let them understand that we got the numbers already? When we walk down the street now, you got people faking like they Black Lives Matter. That's the first time in the existence of the movement you've ever seen that. People used to be like, fuck black people when Dr. King them marched. They were like, fuck black people, get out the street, coon, get out the street, nigger. They was proud to say it. They was proud. But now, when you walk down the street, people are embarrassed to be those same individuals. You got people that'll throw a black fist up just so you don't mess with them. Like, Black Lives Matter, like, yeah, buddy. Like, Black Lives Matter, right? They be like, yeah, Black Lives Matter, buddy. And that just shows that there's a change in this country. There's been a shift. Black Lives Matter, we're not the minority anymore. We don't have to ask those racist people for shit. We don't have to negotiate with them anymore. We ain't got to explain systematic racism anymore for them. They know it exists. They ignore it. They know they benefit from it. They know the benefits of it. They use it every fucking day. But it's also a difference in white people too. It's white people that don't have the same benefits as other white people. the white people in this room do not have the benefits of the rich white people that we refer to a lot of the times. You know what I mean? All of the benefits that we like referring to that we need change, the people in this room don't possess them. You know what I mean? That's why we have to rent out facilities just to have these things, because they don't own the buildings. You know what I mean? We don't have that white people with us that can just be like, hey, you guys can use my building every day. We got 7 buildings on the south side. You guys can hold up there. So we got to realize like who we talking to, what we can actually do, who our audience is, and what we can accomplish. Because other than that, we're going to have to crowdfund. You know what I mean? And when I think about what you was talking about, the racism and the differences between the protests, I believe that because I'm in Milwaukee. Well, I'm from Milwaukee, Wisconsin. I travel across the country. What made me start traveling was the fact that when I walked through all those cities to walk to DC, they weren't allowed to protest a certain way. And I'm like, what the fuck y'all talking about? In every city I walked through, black people was not allowed to protest a certain way. And they tried that shit with me. And I said, no. I said, we are going to protest this way. And I realized that a lot of times that black people just didn't know their laws. So the police would make some shit up, tell black people, yo, you can't do this shit. And everybody free like, can we do this shit? And they're like, I don't know, bro. Like, all right, I guess we can't do that shit. And then they move around. But then I realized the police don't know the law either. So you can tell them some shit. You can make some shit up on them. Section 5217 says, I can't walk down this street. And they be sitting there like, can they walk down this street? The police be sitting there like, oh, no. It makes sense. Because they don't know the law. We got a whole, but that's a problem. We got a whole police force out here that don't know the law. That don't know the law that we going against. They don't know the law we trying to change. They don't even know the law that they trying to enforce. How can you enforce the law and you don't even know it? I got arrested on the same street that the sheriff marched down with me. Literally, the sheriff and police marched down the street with me, and in the next county, I got arrested on that same street. So one sheriff telling me like you can march down the street, the other sheriff telling me it's against the law. You see what I'm saying? So we got to make sure that we strengthen what we got. We got to make sure that we organize as a people and we all stay on the same page. And even though we all not part of the organization Black Lives Matter, and I think it don't matter. Because at this point, it really ain't no way to separate. We dealing with racist white people that want to lump us up in one group. So when you look at what happened across the country, when y'all do something important, it could be 500 white people out there. They're going to say the Black Lives Matter group did it. That's what they're going to say. You could say 1 billion times that you're not Black Lives Matter. So, because you're not as strong as the media that say you are Black Lives Matter. So we might have strength in just saying we Black Lives Matter. Whether it's an organization or a hashtag, we might have strength in saying that we one thing, because at the end of the day, we all fighting for change. You know what I mean? Everybody can keep their own group, everybody can keep their own initiative, but I think shying away from Black Lives Matter, and there's no disrespect, brother, because I do it too. You know what I mean? At times I do it too. But I think that shying away from Black Lives Matter really ain't always the way. I know they don't fund us, I know that they say that they're politically driven, but at the same time, whenever something goes wrong, they put it on Black Lives Matter, and then they say that we Black Lives Matter, and they treat all the groups and organizations like they Black Lives Matter, and they're going to use the same tactics. If something happened in Chicago right now, they're going to do something to y'all in Oregon. Y'all got to understand that by now. This is a national movement. It ain't about your city no more. It ain't about this city. It ain't about your city. It ain't about the 20 groups here that's fighting over the city, protesting differently. Or, you know, it ain't about that, the 35 or however many. Y'all got a lot of groups here. That's what I hear. I ain't know. I'll be real with y'all. Y'all got a lot of groups. I done been in a lot of cities. And they all divided. See, let me tell y'all something the white people and the police didn't figure out. Why they not tear gassing y'all that much no more. Y'all don't get tear gas like y'all do at the beginning. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Y'all, somebody do something stupid, they gonna tear gas y'all. Y'all ain't gonna say nothing. Y'all gonna pretend like somebody didn't do something stupid if it ain't on camera. But y'all know somebody do something stupid at this point, that's when they tear gas us. In the beginning, they were tear gassing everybody. Everybody, all the time. As soon as you walked in the street, tear gas, flashbangs, everybody throwing people, arrests, everything. And then they just stopped one day. Do y'all know why they stopped? Do y'all know why they stopped for real? Do y'all really know why they stopped? No, you know why they really stopped? Because they was uniting us. Because when we first jumped out there, it wasn't not one group. It was just people marching for George Floyd. Everybody was marching. And the more they tear gassed us, the stronger we got, the more people came out. The more they beat us, the more they stuff they did. And then they backed up. And they said, I'm going to watch these niggas fight over themselves. And across the country, the protests got smaller. And they got smaller and smaller and smaller. And everybody arguing with each other. And they ain't got to do shit but watch us argue with each other. And take each other out and fade each other out. That's what I see across the country. That's what I see they doing to us. I'm being honest with y'all. In every city. I ain't been to a city that ain't going through all these groups and organizations fighting for the same things at different times. Throwing protests the same day at the same time. For the same cause. How you gonna have 2 George Floyd marches at the same time? That don't even make sense. How? It's a lot of stuff that I don't agree with that going across the country, but it ain't for me to tell y'all how to protest. I ain't here to tell y'all not to burn nothing. I ain't here to tell y'all not to set nothing on fire. But at the same time, y'all ain't got to step on each other's toes. If you go to a peaceful protest, don't do something violent. If you go to a peaceful protest, well, it is peaceful. You can be peaceful and non-violent. In Milwaukee, we didn't have people drive on their lawn. That's still peaceful. A lot of noise. You can be noisy. That's still peaceful. You can yell. I can yell right now, I love God. That don't mean I'm violent. You get what I'm saying? So when you talk about, so when we talk about peaceful, what we're saying is not the rioting, not the brick throwing, not the stuff, not the agitating. You have people that want to peacefully protest like your grandma, like a 5-year-old kid. They need their place in history. They need to be a part of something. Athletes and celebrities that can't go out there when you're doing all the rioting and stuff that want to support your cause. You have to differentiate the two. It's just the truth, because it's people that want to protest and support what you're doing, but they can't because of what you're doing goes too far sometimes. And when you separate the two, you say, okay, people, you can do whatever you want that goes too far. I'm not saying that you can't do that, but at least give me a choice. Don't have me in the front of a peaceful protest and then throw a brick from the back. So I get pepper sprayed because somebody threw a brick from the back and they ain't even man enough to throw a brick in front of the police. If you really man enough, stand in the front and throw a brick at the police. Stand right there and slap the police if you that bad. But don't throw no brick from the back that nobody see while we trying to talk to the police about moving on our way. Because we get pepper sprayed and it don't feel good. And you don't get pepper sprayed. You know what I mean? I'm being real. And I know y'all tired of that, right? Ain't y'all, let's be real. Ain't y'all tired of trying to do stuff a certain way and then somebody throw something? So we have to make sure that we separate those groups and separate those individuals and organize in a manner where we know what's going on out there, where we can see what's going on and we continue to message the fight for change. When we watch all across the country, we don't see why y'all doing what y'all doing in Portland. That's just to be honest. We don't know what the hell going on. I be seeing 85 streamers and 12 protesters. I be like, everybody oppressed out there. Is that the secret, to wear press stuff and they don't beat you up? I'm like, I need to wear some press stuff. Maybe I won't get tear gas with the press stuff on. Because I'm like the press follow the press, but the police beating up the press. I'm like, the police beating up the press. I'm like, where are the protesters at? You know, I'm being honest, I'll be confused. And it's nobody talking. It's no dialogue. It's nobody explaining what's going on. It's just a bunch of, hey, police, I hate you. You know, and that going on. And that's cool. But at the same time, I don't know what y'all demands are important. I don't know. I've never heard no streamers say what y'all demands were. And if y'all did say it, it was once or twice. It should be something said every time that y'all protest. These are our demands. This is what we fight for at the beginning of y'all protest, at the end of y'all protest. It's, you know what I mean? I don't see that part. I don't see maybe it's just the night stuff. I don't see the structure of, I don't even see how it started. I just turn my live on and people be going down the street and they be turning through bushes and stuff. And I'm like, okay, what's going on? They don't even be chanting sometimes. They just be walking and. You gotta be there to really understand it though. Yeah, I'm trying to. I'm being real with you, but what I'm saying is that I get it as I talk to y'all more. It's not a knock to y'all. I'm just telling y'all what the world see so that y'all can show a different message to the world. I'm just telling y'all the truth. That's what I see. And if y'all are doing it differently, I would love to learn and engage with y'all to see the best way to make it look like it should look. You know what I mean?
we're here for systemic racism, and I would like you guys to answer honestly. When you were asked for a definition of systemic racism, how many of you were uncomfortable that you did not have an answer? Please raise your hand.
Good, that's all. That's
Okay, so I want to touch on what my betters, my more educated people have touched on for you, because it involves education. I want each one of you to do exactly what I do, and I'm going to explain something to you. I'm black, in case you haven't noticed, and I do not have all the answers to all the questions. I almost said every night, that's not true. Most nights, I look up something and I read the shit out of it because I don't know. And it's not that I don't understand it, because I live it. But there's a difference between living something and understanding how to communicate it, and understanding how to share it with someone else in a fashion that they can then pass it on. And I want every single person in here to do just that. If you're uncomfortable with what your knowledge is, if you're uncomfortable about what was said, if you don't know the definition, go look it up. Every night, spend 10 minutes, look up something, and then pass it on, post it, repost it. That's what people are talking about here, about passing it on. Your job, all of our jobs, is to reach receptive people. It's not an all or nothing, it's not an all-encompassing thing, it's baby steps. Reach who's reachable, teach who's teachable. Whatever it is, it's one thing. I'm going to ask you to read a book. It's an excellent book. It's changed many minds. It was written by a Republican who became a Democrat, or rather, a conservative who became a liberal. Okay, her name is Michelle Alexander, and she wrote a book called The New Jim Crow. I suggest every single one of you read it. It will, The New Jim Crow. This is about the age of mass incarceration, the class war that's going on, the new class that's created. It's all rooted in systematic racism. It's all going to explain a person who thought one way, looked at the actual fact, deep digging, did their research, and went, shit, I'm on the wrong side. I was totally wrong. I had all the answers to why it didn't exist, and here it is in front of my face. And I read this book probably 5 or 6 times. You can get it on audiobook and have it read it to you. I don't suggest that. Whoever's doing it is not a very good reader. But I'm not going to lie, even she like, man, okay. But it's there. And I task every single person in here to not be ashamed or anything other than uncomfortable with your lack of knowledge, and then put a verb on it and go do it. I do it. I'm black, I'm oppressed, I'm the recipient of all the stuff we're talking about, and I still don't know everything. I still don't know all the ways I can help, and I still don't have all the answers when people ask me. But then I go look. And not on Google, or DuckDuckGo, on some other stuff. Google will take your answers, I'm not gonna lie. If you don't believe me, do a search on DuckDuckGo and Google and look at what's different, what they're not telling you, what the patent answers are not. And that's all I got for you, is put some action behind what you're doing, and thank you for your time.
That's a great segue into our next topic, which is the action and change part.
When we talk about action and change, right? We heard a lot in this room tonight about systemic racism. We talked about actions, right? Protest being one of the direct actions that we use. And that's great. I support that. I want to share with you some of the work that I do. I forgot to mention earlier on when I introduced myself. I am the founder of not-for-profit Vision Center of Hope Incorporated. This not-for-profit was recently birthed in May due to COVID-19 because of what I saw, that you already have a very vulnerable community, and now this pandemic comes and we're even more vulnerable. So when we start talking about actions, right, direct protest is only one option. And what I have and take issue with is now everybody has become systematic in protesting. There's a way to protest this way. Don't protest that way. No, we're gonna do it this way. We're gonna do it that way. And nothing that you're doing is affecting any change in my community, so I have an issue with it. Black and brown children are being killed and slaughtered in the streets of Chicago and Milwaukee. And we need actions that are gonna bring forth immediate change. Simultaneously, there are things that can be done. And early on when I began speaking, I wanted to understand how have you engaged your lawmakers? And do you even understand what that process looks like? And so as a policy consultant and a community organizer, what I do is I work with grassroots organizations to help them identify the framework for decision making on how to reach that particular, leverage that power toward action. That's what I'm concerned about. Having a child that sat in a classroom and was pushed to the side and labeled and saw how the structural racism in the educational system never gave him the opportunity to regain from his first contact with the justice system. As a mother, at that time, I was not even officially educated because I had dropped out of high school. I didn't go back to school until 30. And at 49, I completed my doctoral degree with Walker University in Public Administration. So, we talk about, thank you guys, these social ills and actions, right? And I'm giving you all this story to get to this place because systemic racism is going to need a systems approach. And you cannot allow the people who have oppressed you to have insight in on that. We have to stop wanting to be a part of something and create inroads for our own black people. That is the reason why, once we got out of slavery, we still wanted to have a piece of the pie. The impact of all of this made us more dependent upon a system than independent of a system, leaving us unable to come up with strategies to identify how to get out. Because of the psychological trauma. See, there is a series that I do called The Trauma of Being Black. And it comes from an intergenerational and transgenerational perspective of how each era of time structured itself to create an element of oppression that created a behavior or response from us. So, let's talk action. I see Portland tearing down statues, running in the streets, fighting each other, and there's racism within the protests. Yeah, we're going to have to deal with that because y'all got to go. But when we talk about actions, strategies must be employed. You guys who you paying taxes regardless if you don't have a home or not, this is your interest. Meeting amongst each other and being able to identify what is our council doing? What laws are being passed in our community? Who is our leader? Do they have our best interests? Portland, it's time to pull it in. You've shown great strength in numbers and being loud. But you show no clue about how to get to where you need to go. This protesting across this country is a bunch of bull crap. I can't say what I want to say, but it's a bunch of bull crap because it has taken away from real change, what needs to happen. And these political ideas that are coming from politicians, both liberal and conservatives, I trust none. Because if the truth be told, it's the Democratic Party who enslaved us. That's documented. So when it comes to how we get to change, change is not going to happen unless we as individuals come together and begin to build strategy, building power, voting them out, building power. 501c4s and our super PACs, you guys, you know that's how they fund campaigns, right? You guys have the numbers. you don't have the strategy. That's what you need. The American Civil Liberties Union, have you engaged them? Do you know what actions are on the table? See, they pass laws all the time in Congress. Who is the ACLU in the pocket of? You have to know this, Portland. So you want to help black lives, but you gotta dig. You gotta pull your sleeves back. I saw this system of oppression from a different lens as a black mother. Do you know what it feels like to go and finally pull yourself up by the bootstraps, get the courage to go back to school, sit in the classroom where you are 15 years older than the people that's around you, educate yourself, be inspired to become a social worker, put yourself in the spaces of oppression where your child is being oppressed to want to be a solution. Created, designed research in the Cook County Juvenile Temporary Detention Center to identify the nature and extent of treatment services offered to youth with co-occurring and coexisting mental health disorders, because I was desperate as a mother. My son, through all of this, was in and out of juvenile justice systems. So I'm becoming a social worker. And just a year ago now, in Atlanta, going to Clark, Atlanta, going back to Clark, leaving Chicago, going to Clark, Atlanta, and then studying there and becoming a mental health social worker, advanced level, working with the Department of Children and Family Services, working in the school system, but I can't save my own child. It hit me like a ton of bricks now as a special education teacher in a small group setting, where the ratio of students in the classroom are 8 black boys to 1 black girl. We have a problem. So my lens and what I saw in terms of how to get to where we need to go with change was policy. It's a problem when we have foster care systems that have 96% black children in foster care. It's a problem when across our country the school suspension rate for black children is 98%. It's a problem. So you can beat the ground and yell and scream and throw rocks and argue and fight with the police all you want. Police brutality is not the only problem that the black community has. We have over 400 years of oppression. Our children are dying. There is trauma in being black. And to our black leaders on the front line, zoom in, wherever you are. So you have to change your model and your methods as well, because you haven't checked your trauma. Some of you all are selling out because you haven't checked your trauma. When you check your trauma, you are understanding that the lens in which I am advocating in is pain. So I have to understand why I feel this way, so I don't go into this movement and infect it even the more. We have to be honest on the front line that the things that we have experienced is impacting our ability to get where we need to go. And the greatest example of that was the civil rights movement. We're going to talk about it, because we have no format nor formula to move forward with. And so we have been spoon-fed by our media, by political operatives coming in our community. We're going to talk about these non-for-profit organizations that are getting all of this money and not servicing our children. So you want to talk about change, Portland, you got to pull in and you got to dig deep into the policy pipeline and get their asses out. So I'm going to use this mic right now because I wanted to be very clear about what social change looks like. You gotta understand how policy decision making works. When you come into a place of grassroots organizing and you're going up a big system like this, you gotta know strategy. I've got the numbers. Let's get the strategy.
Thank you. Recently, I decided to run for first vice president of our local NAACP so that we could take back the power of our local branch and give it back to the Black community where it belongs. I didn't want to do it because, well, I'm tired because I do a lot, and I wasn't sure that it could be safe, but a lot of my friends and comrades were saying, let's just burn it down. It's not worth even trying. By dismantling the local chapter, not actually burning it. Thank you for the statement. Not today's correct action. But what I wanted to do was try to take it back and try to, even more importantly, give it to our Black youth, our Black leaders that are young and have great ideas about how we need to move forward. So
did those sexual allegations come up by you guys trying to overthrow the NAACP? I'm curious.
Mic check, 1 second.
check.
Hold on.
I am not close enough. Does that work better? Can you hear me now?
She was saying mic check.
Mic check. So when I say mic check is because we're gonna yield and let you guys ask all the questions. Let the panel go ahead and.
You want to do that
Because
now?
we don't- No, let her finish.
Okay.
Let her finish, go ahead, and then we'll go.
So, long story short, we have been trying to get Edie Monday out of office for over a year. Even before we knew about the allegations that came out in this week's article, we knew that his misogynoir and his financial improprieties and his personal, mission that had nothing to do with the members, or the people that were showing up for the meetings, that all had to change. So when the survivors contacted us, because they found out about what we were trying to do, we helped them get their voices heard, and we are supporting them, and we will continue to do that. And I hope that you all vote in the local NAACP election in November 21st. You have to be a member by October 20th. We have scholarships if you can't afford your membership. If you are a young Black person, please join, because my greatest wish is that I cannot be an officer of the NAACP soon, because all the beautiful Black youth of our community have taken it over and made it their own.
So I just want to touch on a couple things real quick, and then the social change. So Frank, what you said about the streamers, man, they ain't streaming speakers. They streaming bang, bang, pow, pow, right? Oh, that's right. So that's why you haven't been seeing that on the world stage. Because that's the for-profit part of the racism that I'm talking
For sure.
about.
Well, I wanted to, like I told him when we were sitting here, I wanted to make sure I was clear when I said what I was saying. It's a specific group of white people that I see protesting that night, where I don't see no Black people. It's just a.
I'm out there.
No, I'm not saying that y'all. It's not saying that y'all not out there. I'm saying that, like what he said, they in a certain area. Y'all might have somebody marching on the other side of town, but they be in a certain
We
area.
gotta hold the streamers accountable too, because there's a lot of good stuff and there's a lot of organization and there's a lot of strategy going on, and it frustrates me hearing that
You know what I'm saying? Because I don't know what the panelists have, information that the panelists have been given about Portland, you know what I'm saying, prior to this. But there's a lot of strategy and a lot of organization.
Yeah,
a lot of
and
meetings going on.
I think that, and you always got to remember, each individual panelist have their own individual opinion. My opinion is that I see strategy. I just told him that. I said, I see strategy. It was a difference of opinion than that. I don't see organization. So for me, I think y'all have the numbers and y'all have strategy, but y'all are unorganized. Y'all have so many different groups doing so many different things. No, I know. I heard about that. I know the groups work together too. But if y'all was organized and y'all had strategy and numbers, then we would see it wouldn't be no problems at all. I'm just being honest. You know what I'm saying?
So just to clarify, y'all, this is what this is not gonna turn into, okay? We gotta assess the problems. We have to assess the problems. Us. And he's got valid points, and he also is entitled to his opinion too. Y'all know me, I'm everywhere. And we have groups here that are working together.
For sure.
We do have structure, we do have strategy, but the very important point that you hit on is it's time for us to bring all of that together.
That's right.
Exactly.
So hopefully, Black leadership, if y'all listening, I had called out for a meeting a couple of weeks ago, and 3 people showed up. So I appreciate you bringing that point.
And this is no disrespect to the white people here. In Milwaukee, if white people protesting and marching by themselves and streaming by themselves, and that's all you see, we go straight down there as black leaders and make sure that ain't going on. It ain't no disrespect, but ain't no white people just finna be streaming white people in the Black Lives Matter movement in Milwaukee. So when you got that going on, that shows a lack of some type of organization going on. If y'all,
I don't know the demographics here, but we got a lot more black people.
No.
More white people here.
Right, exactly. But yeah. But that's not what we saying. I'm going off of what you said. You got to hold the streamers accountable. So if you saying that the streamers ain't streaming what y'all doing, that's part of a lack of coming together. If the streamers not streaming what y'all doing, that's part of what I'm talking about. Y'all got to bring that. Y'all got to have the streamers stream what y'all talking about. They got to stream the black people that's speaking and the black people that's marching and the black people that's actually bringing a message. Y'all got to hold the streamers accountable by going to them and saying, y'all streaming the wrong stuff. If y'all feel like they're not streaming the right stuff, because all the world see is y'all what the streamers streaming. Like when we sitting at home, all we gonna see is what they show. And if y'all isolate from them, like, you know what, they don't ever show black people, so I ain't even messing with the streamers. We just gonna continue to do what we do. Then nobody sees what y'all doing. You gotta have a good relationship with y'all streamers, because they travel too. Portland streamers travel more than any other streamers I done seen, to be completely honest. So y'all actually have a great opportunity with them, because they travel from city to city to city to city showing what's going on. You know what I mean? If y'all if y'all don't have a relationship, I don't know the relationship. I just know what I see. You know what I'm saying? But I do believe. I know that. That's why I came. Yeah, that's why I came. So the structure. Yeah, for sure.
So before we segue into that,
Can you just hold that thought, please?
before we segue into the responses, I want to be clear and clarify, right? When I talk about strategy, my role is a social justice advocate and a policy consultant. It's not rooted in protesting. See, there are direct actions. Protesting is one of them. So when I talk about strategy, I'm talking about other actions. Protesting is one. And I said that seems to be the only direct action that is happening in Portland. That seems to be. Hold on now. Because when I did the research into some of and watching some of the Zoom meetings with the commissioner and those things that are happening, I see opportunity where the numbers that you all are bringing can really focus on certain areas. Okay, I'm gonna say it that way. I see missed opportunities. So protesting is good. right? I support that. But my position as a policy consultant is to help community and organizations to get the reform that they want through their local
Then
government.
help all the rest of the organizations grow. Then help all the rest of us.
So she has the mic, so we have, it's 5:24.
I agree with you.
She got one here, we got, she's next, who, in the back? It was right there, okay.
So, my name is Mars. I'm a local activist. I'm an independent activist. I was part of the organization before becoming independent as well. And I want to touch up on a couple of things that I heard. In order to create change, people have to be willing to listen when being educated and when a Black person is speaking in general. And that's a big problem we have here. Even when we had numbers, people would show up to protest and not know why. And the reason why the numbers have dwindled, obviously, is because white people lost interest. But the people who do show up are listening. The community is a safe space in multiple areas in Portland where people will show up all times of the day and they know they're going to be fed. They know they're going to be protected. They know they're going to have those community resources that they don't need to apply for. Because that's the biggest problem, right? You need a resource, so you need to apply for it and then wait for it. We've ended that. You need to be fed, you know exactly where to go. You need protection, you know exactly where to go. But the media doesn't cover. We were a part of the organization and even as independents, just a couple of days ago, for George Floyd's birthday, we held a candlelight vigil. And you don't see that on the media. Because the media doesn't come, and if they do come, they see the numbers, and they go, not coming. So it's hard from an outside perspective to see what's happening in the city when you're only, looking at it through
Media.
media, exactly. Because media is focused towards people who don't have cable, who don't have internet, And so when you just look at the news, you don't see what's actually happening in the city, so, yeah.
Yeah, I don't watch the news. You hear me? I don't watch the news. So like, that's the thing. Yeah. But we ain't got strangers people ain't strangers. So you gotta broadcast your own message and perfect that.
I think it's really important to keep in mind, it's very difficult. I tell everybody, I tell my mom this in Virginia. It's almost impossible to understand what's happening here in Portland throughout the news. That's not our fault. What's happening here, I hear a lot of people saying that, on this panel, that they're not sure why we're here. And the reason that we're here is to defund the police. That's what these protests here in Portland are about. It may not be the same across everywhere else, but that's what we're doing here. Defund the police. We're not here to look for equality for Black people in the 6% state. That's not realistic. That's not what we're in the streets for. That's what we want. But that's not what we're in the streets for. We're in the streets for a tangible goal. You protest for a tangible. You don't just protest because you're mad. That's some shit, right? But the revolution is like, no, Black lives have to matter. Organizational or not, right? But we talked for a long time about, of what is structural racism. And structural racism is capitalism. Whether you like that shit or not, structural racism is capitalism. It's how they codify racism. Capitalism is racism codified. It's how you take the things from a person, from a people, and you extract that means and you give it to one person or a smaller group on the other side. There's no way you can do capitalism and be fair.
I was literally gonna talk about that.
Okay? So when we talk about having a piece of the pie, what pie? The part of the structural racism pie? Are we trying to change our position on the scale? Or are we trying to turn the system down? So whenever we talk about solutions that involve, we need more education so we can get people to build nonprofits and have all this shit, that's really cool, right? But the problem is all you're doing is becoming the next person. That's Animal Farm. You've all read Animal Farm, right? Police, right? So I'm saying that's us becoming our masters. That's not what we're trying to do. And how you start is extremely important, how you finish. This is the start. So as we have these conversations and talk about these things, I just want people to keep in mind that I know from the outside it looks like, we are working with the streamers aren't showing the cool shit. The fact is, the streamers aren't showing the cool shit because we don't want to go to jail. You feel me? So the streamers are showing the cops because our goal is we don't talk to the cops, we don't film our activists, we film the cops. That's our whole point. Show the cops doing that shit. Don't show the activists doing shit. We're not trying to get famous. Yeah. So it bothers me when I hear, I'm not sure what you guys are here for. I have been in the New York Times, I have been in the New Yorker, I have been the New Yorker Radio, I have been on NPR, I have been on OPD, I have been on the Wall Street Journal, I have been on the LA Times, I have been on the Seattle Times, and I have been on the fucking Washington Post. And you know what we asking for? I said the same shit as the time. I'm here to run the police. I say every fucking time we talk. Everybody knows that shit right there. So when people come here from out of town, and I appreciate that shit because we have to do more. I focus here. I didn't go to these things. I don't have time for that shit. I'm trying to do something here. So when people come here and say, I'm not sure what's going on, these are suggestions. Before you can give us suggestions, you have to know what we want. I'm also a consultant. And before I go into a place and start giving advice, I ask what the hell y'all doing. And I'm going to go and answer. Because I can't tell you how to get there. I can't tell you how my nonprofit can help you if I don't know what you want. Right? I can't tell you how to operate your streamers or if you have an organization or not unless I actually know what you actually have. Because I know people, I never talk to people. Ever. But I see you every day. And one time she had a problem, I was there in a heartbeat. And then I see her. I got a problem, she been there in a heartbeat. It don't matter. I see bars all the fucking time. Like, it's nothing. I see cattle all the time. Black, white doesn't really matter, honestly, here in Portland. Because what we're trying to do here is we're trying to get rid of our police. Not just because, fuck the police, not just because all ACAP, which is great, all caps, all cops, all caps. But the reason we're doing that is because what can black people take out of this? So many times we have these movements. I've been protesting since 2001. We've had these movements, right? And it's like, yeah, we generate all this stuff, we get all this stuff, and these resources, mutual aid stuff pop up, nonprofits pop up, and then it's over. And we broke again. Right? And I'm not mad that I'm broke. I'm not mad because they're rich. I'm mad because I'm broke. That's a difference. I'm not mad because they're rich. I'm mad because I'm broke. Now I'm not broke no more. I don't work hell hard in this capital system. Right? So now I'm good. I don't want none of y'all to be broke. That's just bullshit. You feel me? So our game plan here is to, because even if we get this money, Oregon Care already said we can have $62 million for our black community. Don't tell us we ain't doing shit. We got $62 million, cut $50 million off the budget, got the cops out of the schools, got the cops off the TriMet, got the cops sucking the room. You can work it. How can we see actually defunded the police? Portland. Period. So when, instead of people coming here to tell us what to do, y'all should be hired us to not tell y'all what to do. We got this shit down. And we're down shit far now. But we are transitioning into the phase that this young lady is talking about. We are doing that work. We are indeed. I talked to Ron White yesterday. I talked to Kate Brown a couple months ago. I talk to him all the time. Like, let's not pretend we don't know what's going on here. Everyone doesn't know what's going on everywhere. But that's because everyone's not tapping in. But also because everyone thinks they should be tapping in around themselves. So tapping with others, not just tapping with yourself. If we're all together, I love that.
And so, yeah, just elaborating on that. So, Black Lives Matter is not just protests at night. We are involved right now, the group that I'm with, in stopping the government from physically removing a family from a home in the middle of this pandemic.
That's why you gotta be heard.
Those of y'all that know about the Red House, y'all know how we do it. And we will move on from there to the next family, and the next family, and the next family, and the next family. That's how community looks out for community. And just to tap on what Max was talking about, I started with Rodney King. And Rodney King was a perfect example of how you started that. Just a bunch of anger, no nothing. And I can tell you what the system does. And unfortunately, I've been proven wrong every day of the 30 plus years that I've been involved in community. I don't have titles, degrees, or nothing, but I worked in those soup kitchens, those houseless shelters. That's what I do. But definitely, so the system is going to do just like what Frank said too, you know, elaborate on that. They just going to sit back and wait. That's it. They don't have to do anything. They going to watch us come together. And so just to give you guys an idea for all the white people in the room, black people have never had an opportunity to truly know what the fucking family structure is. We've never had that opportunity. From day one, we touched on this soil. My brother, my dad can be taken in a moment and shipped down the road somewhere, and I've never seen him again. So within the black community, we are working on that family structure, and we will get that down. But until then, yes, there will be different groups. There will be different ideologies and all of that, even within the black community. And all that's great. Like Ty said, let's just all agree to be together at the end and have a fucking party. Mm-hmm. Everybody concentrate on what you're doing, and let's get it done. And that's just it. And the community that we serve is also the community that we live in. And to give you guys an example of how they do black and brown communities, they don't put any stores in the community. They don't put any kind of access to any kind of health care, social services within the community. So guess what? You gotta go down to the mall and give your money to Mr. Nordstrom. That takes directly from the community. So the community has no chance. A community is a self-sustained entity, stores, everything. You don't have to go outside of your community for anything. If you're living in a true community, they will not allow us to do that, but it's not up to them, it's up to us. That's why we go to places like Raps. People in need, we step up. We take care of each other. And so for the people that are from out of town, which technically, maybe I could be considered, I don't know, I live here. But I'm not born here, none of that stuff. I'm here now, I'm not going anywhere. You guys will continue to see me as you have been. There is structure here, there is organization, and it's coming together. So that's what y'all need to know. It is coming together.
So, real quick, mic check. So what I wanted to make sure that I clarify again is when he talked about the organization, we talked about the structure, and we talked about policy change and action. So with Portland being is 74% white, 5% black, let's talk about some numbers and what the collective acts are, right? For the collective, for the 5% in Portland, what are your acts? What are your demands that are on the table that are clear throughout the community that this is what they're asking to be done?
We want to fire violent officers in charge with crimes and we want to defund the police.
Defund the police.
We have to fire violent officers and charge them with crimes.
Okay, so fire, that's for Portland, right?
Yeah.
That's for Portland specifically only.
Very specifically, it has to do with
Very
their
specific.
contracts. They're around for years, 5 years now.
5 years, okay. So, and you do have police unions, right?
Yes.
Okay, so.
The oldest police union in the nation.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, you got 2 police unions, all right. So we're gonna defund the police, fire all the bad cops, right? And charge them for crimes, right? And so what does that do for the 5% of blacks? And what does that do for the school systems in the minority communities? Is that funding going to allocate that funding? Okay, hold on, let me get back to you. So see, because I want Portland to know that I didn't come in here blind. I did my research. And I came in here not to tell you what to do because consultants don't. But in the passion of the moment when we're talking about structural racism and all of that, and in the lens in which I live, I brought that energy in this room and being authentic in this space because I love black people, okay? And so with that, I want Portland to know that coming across the globe here, I did not take this lightly at all. So when I say, don't take it as if, and see with us, so white people, we have a fireside chat now. This is black folk, y'all know, we about to be real, this honesty speaking. We have to understand that we have to have a listening ear. We have to train our ears now to listen to each other in love, right? And because they use the Willie Lynch syndrome in everything that we do when they see us come together to divide us. So I want to commend the brothers that's in this room that's been standing on the front line. I don't know if he was here first when I first opened up. I definitely gave mad love to Portland because I said y'all had the heart and y'all doing the thing. Y'all protest a dry hot dog. I ain't mad at you. But what I offer in this space to Portland, you guys, and what I saw honestly is opportunity. And when you have, and I wasn't going to go there, but I'm going to go there. When you have an administration that called out this, that's what really gave me the focus on Portland. When you have the current administration that called out Portland the way they did, as far as I'm concerned with the protesting between the black and the white, whether you're Republican or Democrat, this is a perfect storm to win. And that was my biggest interest. That was my biggest interest. Like, how does Portland get to be the centerfold of attention from the White House? Right? And then, as far as I'm concerned, you got the Republicans and the Democrats, you got the black and the whites, but the White House said fuck y'all. So y'all got the power in Portland to do whatever you like. You can do whatever you like, okay? So with my family that's in this room, Samantha is here to love on you, not to point fingers at you. My experience from Cabrini Green and growing up, my experience from raising black boys, my experiences from working in institutions that don't even respect the hustle, and this black woman getting to where she got, and I'm still oppressed, even in a corporate role. So what can Vision Center of Hope do for Portland? Vision Center of Hope is a nationally registered organization. It's just been birthed. It is the perfect storm to get involved and create the model that Portland needs. And I will offer that to you all today. Having the opportunity to have a nationally registered organization, my vision was to go to the urban communities and my communities with a service model and addressing those ills, those social ills, because my background in mental health and trauma, having the trauma informed understanding about how we do this work, even with us. I had that revelation when I had a breakdown in the classroom a year ago. When you're gone through what you've gone through and you did what you did, and the reality of it was that you have not really affected change in your own child's life. So I had to begin to look at my own trauma as a mother. I'm now 20 years in the game. And I'm standing in the classroom with black boys, and I just broke down because everything that I did to be better was discredited as nothing. And my why is still where? In jail. So the reality of this systemic system, the reality of this, my brother back there, is that we are better together than we are apart.
Right.
Yeah.
And so the message to Portland is that Samantha cares about Portland. And I want Portland to care about that I care about you. Because in our black family, we need to learn how to not just love, but listen. Listen and lead with our love. And so I want to just let about your mayor and how he.
Nigga, don't we all?
He ain't concerned about it.
You got people here in the pandemic who did not receive their unemployment benefits, but you got a public official that's under scandal, like Portland, I'm concerned. So I'm gonna yield right now. If there are any other questions that you all want to ask me or any members of the panel, if Frank will take this thing home, we can do the whole thing.
Hold on, for one, just for 1 second, just to answer what you said, when you asked, I just want to make sure I'm speaking correct though. When you asked about what is defunding the police and firing those cops do for the black community, and just to answer that, it does a shit ton for the black community. A shit ton because for one, defunding the police and reallocating those funds in the systems, yes, Portland might not have them like everywhere else where they have like 20 demands that they want met. I'm like saying we want this, we want to put the money in this place. But Portland has plans what to do with that money when they defund the police and put it into school programs, put it into community programs, and put it into other programs. So it's like their demands are just above, or not just to defund the police, but it's way deeper than that. So, but we have to have the money to do it though. We can't do it. We can't have a list of demands saying that we want to help the school system, we want to help the prison system and help all these systems with no fucking money. So we gotta defund the police before we have these plans on taking out all these other systems.
There's some we're saying from the very beginning of the process, which is an acronym called DRIP. I don't know if you guys remember that.
Yeah.
But it's DRIP, it's defund, reinvest, and protect. So we defund the police, we reinvest that money into the community, into housing, into drug treatment, and mental health, and then we protect our most vulnerable citizens. That's one thing we're gonna be getting out a message. A really quick, easy acronym is DRIP: defund, reinvest, and protect.
Just before we go forward, I just want to say something personally for me, and please, no one take offense, because I'm a very direct individual when I talk, especially when things are directly towards me. I'm a different panelist than the rest of the people up here. Some things people say, I don't believe in myself, but they free to feel how they feel. Me personally, I said I'm not here to tell nobody how to protest. If you want to riot, you riot. I just say you need to separate the two. You just don't need to riot while the people being peaceful. Out of respect for everybody's way that they want to protest. People got to know which one they going to and respect which way that they want to protest. Go ahead, sweetie.
What's your definition of a riot?
I'm not saying what I'm saying is basically if you want to break windows and throw stuff at the police and do all that kind of stuff, and there's people that just want to march and chant. It's two different groups. So I'm just saying, like, when you got people that just only want to march and chant and like just want to march, that's what they came out to do, they need to be separated from the people that want to throw bricks, that want to bust windows, that want to burn stuff down. I'm not saying either is wrong. I'm just saying give me a choice to let me know what the hell I'm signing up for, okay?
The only complication with that is just that we don't have any ability to control other people's actions. So like when we do have peaceful protests, which we've accomplished, but when we do have those peaceful protests, there's always that one protester. It only takes one protester to like mess something up.
Right. For me, it was just more clarification of me not really telling y'all that I'm coming here to tell y'all what to do. Cause, go ahead.
So, in response to that, as they were saying, we've had peaceful protesters.
Yeah.
Infiltrators are a big thing that have been happening since Black Panther days, right?
Yeah.
So infiltrators are a big problem. In one instance, with the 100 Nights, we had gone out to march, and there were several infiltrators there who obviously are not with us. And so that is out of our control. And so there have been countless times, even at the Justice Center, where it's been peaceful and out of nowhere you're standing on the road instead of the sidewalk and it's declared a riot.
Right.
And so The definition of with your definition, that's absolutely correct, right? To not break stuff, but here, the police have used almost any reason to declare anything as a riot, even if it's peaceful. So,
For sure, and then it's determined, like, a lot of times y'all gonna get arrested for things that they never gonna be able to really charge y'all with. That y'all gonna go to court, they gonna have to drop the charges, y'all gonna beat it. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, that hasn't been the case though, because we've had federal agents here.
Yeah, I mean, but who has got 5 years for dancing in the street?
There's been several, there was, I don't.
They got like 5 years, like went to court already and got they charged time. I'm just saying, like, you know what I mean, for dancing in the street. I'm sure, like, I got stabbed by the police. I got stabbed right here by the police. I got stabbed on my knuckles. They gave me 2 felony resisting arrests while, you know what I'm saying, 2 felony causing bodily harm to officers while resisting arrest. Because they body slammed me and stabbed me underneath a pile. But that's what I got charged with. I went to jail. I got charged with it in May.
So does that make it right though?
I didn't say I made it right, but I got lawyers and my charges got dropped because they can't push that. They're not going to get me to go to jail on video of me getting body slammed and not doing nothing. They're going to charge you with all kind of stuff to try to stop you from protesting at that moment, to try to disrupt you, what you're doing at that moment. But there's no way you should be pleading guilty to none of that stuff and taking charges and stuff like that. I'm just telling y'all. Because what I'm saying is, I don't know how y'all do justice here. It would be amazing that y'all doing justice here like that in Portland. But I don't know nowhere in the country where you're getting federal charges and you going to court in 2 months and going to jail for those federal charges without taking a plea.
Okay, but the only thing, the thing with the plea.
But it wasn't even I wasn't trying to debate all of the. Go ahead.
I'm not trying to be.
No, sorry, I was speaking. Go ahead, brother.
10-minute warning.
Okay, in that case, for one instance, if you're taken by a federal agent, whether it's legally or illegally, and you're told to go to court the next day, you can't make it to court. Now there's a warrant out for your arrest. Now you can't get a job. That's a part of the system. So to be able to be like, well, it gets dropped and nothing happened, the reality, that's not what's happening.
That's not what I'm saying. That's not what I'm saying at all. I'm not even here to debate that. That wasn't even the point of what I was saying. What I was talking about was me not telling y'all how to protest. So if I'm saying that I'm not gonna come here and tell y'all how to protest, of course the police gonna arrest you for all kind of things. I'm not the fucking police. I can't be like, hey, Mr. Officer, drop them charges. What do you want me to do about them arresting you for dancing in the street? What do you want my answer to be? Like, honestly, if you go dance in the street and the police come up, I'm not Jesus Christ. I can't just be like, police, let all the Portlanders go. You get what I'm saying? I'm being real with you. So some of the stuff that you ask me, I'm not your enemy, I'm your friend. So when you talk about them arresting y'all for dancing in the street, all I can tell you is don't go in there pleading guilty, fight your case, go to court so you don't have a warrant. You know what I mean? Try to talk to you. I missed court in Warsaw, Indiana. I wrote them a letter for missing court, and they took my warrant away. The same warrant you're talking about, I was literally, when I got arrested in Warsaw on the way to DC, the 28th was the day I was supposed to be in court. I didn't go to court. They gave me a charge. I wrote the judge. They took the warrant away and they gave me a new court date. What I'm saying is, I don't think the system worked. I don't think the court system worked. I don't believe that the system have all the answers. But for me, when we talk about organization, we talk about things like, I was really going to talk about what the young man talked about. When you talk about defunding the police, everybody talk about defunding the police. I don't know if y'all don't know that. You know what I mean? The stuff that you did, getting the police out of schools, all the stuff that you named, everybody's done that. I don't know if y'all don't know that. Just like we didn't know y'all did that in Portland. It's a lot of cities that have done a lot of those things. Trust me, I've been there and they say the same thing. And when you look it up, they have got the police out their school system. They have done a lot of the things that you named.
I don't know about that.
I'm being honest. You might not know about that, but just like when I got here to Portland, a lot of us might, just like he felt like we didn't know about that, I did know that they did a lot of things in Portland. But when we talk about organizing, we're talking about like the fact that the National Guard can outnumber y'all at any time. And we got activists across the country that believe in what y'all doing, that'll fly out here on y'all behalf, that don't know who the black activists to communicate with are. If y'all go to jail, I don't know who to communicate with that's the black activists out here to come and fly in and help y'all. I don't know. That's what I'm talking about when I'm talking about organizing. I ain't talking about telling you how to run stuff. I'm talking about, do you have a national platform that you connected with across the country where you have Portland, Atlanta, Chicago, Milwaukee, where we all talking to where we all talking to each other. If y'all do, the rest of the country don't.
Okay, then get on it. They just need to learn all the things that we're doing.
Right. We should be learning from each other, not just Portland feel like we should learn from them. We should all be learning from each other. Right.
You're saying that there's a lot of things that we're not doing, and there's so much things that we're doing. There's so many
No, I didn't say what y'all not doing. I said what I see on the streams. We talk about what we see on the streams. Yeah. Hold on. Before I'm gonna let you go ahead, but I'm saying this is what we don't watch the news. We watch the streams. We watch what y'all broadcasting as people. I want y'all to understand that we're not watching the news. We're watching what y'all broadcast as people. So if this is what y'all broadcasting as people, this is what the world sees. It ain't about saying, are y'all doing something different? Because y'all could be doing a million things different. But we're giving y'all the perspective of what the world sees from y'all live broadcast streaming on the streets.
But you gotta ask the organizers that are really
But
doing
we
it.
can't. It's people across the country that can't ask the organizers. They're not here. And those are the... Listen to what I'm saying. Listen to what I'm saying. The reason it's important for y'all to control the streams is because everybody not going to be able to have that conversation with y'all to see what y'all doing. The reason I'm streaming now is so that people can hear y'all say that y'all defunding the police. So people can hear all the stuff that y'all saying that y'all doing. That's why I'm streaming now. But I don't see a lot of the black people in this room streaming. I'm being honest. And I ain't being disrespectful, I'm just saying, if y'all not telling y'all own story, and we seeing a story from the streamers in Portland, how can you be upset or bothered by the fact that we telling y'all what we see, what's going on? That's what we want to know. How do we get y'all to show us as the world what's going on in Portland?
Hey, one of the black streamers is streaming right now, and I'm sharing his to my platform.
I agree with you, but what I'm saying is, what do we do to show the world what y'all talking about?
The revolution will not be televised, bro.
It will be streamed. They're not televising it. They're streaming. That's not what that. When they say the revolution won't be televised, that means that Fox and the white supremacist organizations won't support us.
You think that the streamers are telling you everything that's happening is crazy?
I'm not saying that they're gonna tell you everything that's happening. I'm talking about the positive stuff that y'all just told me. Well, you don't know what's going on, and y'all telling me right now to my face that y'all want me to know what's going on. Why they not streaming that? That ain't gotta be a secret. How we gonna learn the stuff y'all talking about if it's a secret? How can we learn it if it's a secret?
Hey, that's a black organizer.
Can I just say that Frank came here and he's staying a week because he wants to see what's happening.
For sure. Hey,
Yeah.
as a black organizer,
That's all I want to say.
I've reached out to you several times. What I try to do here is, with Juice as an organization, we try to bring all the organizations.
For sure.
You know what I'm saying? So I've reached out to you several times. I know you're a busy man. I'd love to tap in with you so you're more familiar and you know what's going on.
For sure, yeah. I'm here for a week. I'm here for a week because I want to be able to. Yeah, for sure. I'm here to go to everything though. I'm here to go to everything and to show everybody what y'all are doing. Go ahead.
I'm gonna say that. She's been saying she wants to speak, and that's a problem within itself.
I mean, when I was talking, she interrupted me and I let her go. So go ahead.
So,
It's not a black woman.
thank you so much for allowing me to speak. I need to make a really important point, bring this back around to systemic racism and toxic masculinity. There have been so many times in the last couple of hours when women, non-binary people wanted to speak and have been talked over for you saw me holding this, you just kept talking, and I just don't really feel like you were being respectful. Maybe I'm wrong, but I just wanted you to hear that.
I'll wait till you're done.
Okay, thank you so much, I appreciate that. Real quick, especially for the people who aren't here, the people who are listening, there are so many ways that the system is trying to dismantle the work that we're doing. They come to jail support, they take our stuff, they slash our tires, they take us from our homes, there are so many ways. If you're a white person in Portland
and you can't go out and be on the front lines, that's fine, but there are 100 different ways that you can support the work that we're doing. Show up in jail support, show up with snacks, show up with water, help the houseless people, help the houseless people in our community. So we're doing all of that. I see all of you. You may not know me because I'm generally behind the scenes, but I see all of you and I know your hearts, and I want you to know that I see you working together. I see you doing a better job of working together. I think we're going to keep doing that. Thank you, Juice, for doing that. We are doing a great job, and we're going to keep doing better. And we're going to defund the police, and we're going to also be proud of our victories, and we're going to build on them.
I want to say one thing real quick. I just want to say one thing real quick about that actual subject, because for me, for one, I'm not gonna feel offended, but sometimes I feel offensive. I love black women. I ain't never been no toxic man. First of all, second of all, I was supposed to speak, and she asked me that I want to take the last 15 minutes. So that's what I was trying to do. And inside of taking the last 15 minutes, the first thing that happened was this young lady right here had wanted to say something from after 2 sentences. So I allowed her to speak, and then he started asking questions, and then he started asking questions, and she started asking questions, and I never even got to have my 15 minutes of just talking that she asked me that I want to have. So that's literally what happened. I came and she. No, I'm just under. No, I just wanted because she felt it's not about having to explain myself. It's about if she felt offended by thinking that I was trying to be on some toxic masculinity by ignoring her. It was just the fact that I came and she asked me did I want the last 15 minutes, and I said yeah. Now this black woman right here has spoken more than everybody on this panel, and that's just to tell you the truth. Nobody has interrupted her. She got to get her word across and her point across a lot today. And ain't nobody said nothing, to be completely real. So it was never about anything like that, and I just wanted to get that clarity off. It's just that I had already respected like 6 people that was talking, and I felt like with only 10 minutes left, with me having the last 10 minutes and not even getting to be the speaker of the day because I gave up all of that just for the question because she asked me to come like speak, you know what I mean? So that's for sure. No, it wasn't. She asked me a question, and I was just like. Yeah, that's all that was, for sure. So it was just that she came and whispered to me that I want it, and I said that's fine or whatever. No, so it wasn't about isolating you. It was about actually trying to, you try to respect everybody. And the young man back there had addressed some stuff, and I wanted to make sure that me and him was on a page as far as the panelists and the things that he addressed. That was something I didn't get to say nothing about already. And then before I addressed that, it broke into a conversation about dancing and the police and stuff like that. So that's why I wanted to make sure that dialogue happened, because that I thought was the most important moment for me of the day when that young man spoke, and the things he spoke about, the things that were truly happening in Portland, and trying to figure out how to let the world see that. I understand that everybody feels a certain way about the conversation that's being hard. But for me, I'm just saying, well, I would love to see that going on in Portland. How do we get that to happen? You know what I'm saying? How do we get the people that's not watching the news, the people that to see it? Because for me, I want, it's no offense or anything, and I'm not trying to.
And the change that we're doing in Portland is for Portland. Like the change that's happening in Portland is for Portland.
I
Well,
understand.
I'm not saying.
It took 2.5 hours to take me and drive me to Springfield. I did not televise everything I accomplished in my life.
Nobody's saying.
Tell everybody the good that I'm doing because I will get taken from my home. You literally with a motorcycle. They literally fucked my entire life. And you have to televise everything?
No, who said televise everything?
But that's what you're saying. How are we going to get everybody to see it? You can't.
And because a lot of the stuff that y'all naming, I've seen other cities successfully show it. Like it's not impossible.
Portland is different. Like you gotta understand. Portland is different.
I get what you're saying, but that's fine.
Portland's different.
If y'all don't want people to know it, then you don't continue to have people not knowing y'all.
I know, but it's like I think that the stuff that people are doing in Portland is strictly for Portland. So it's like
you can't complain about what the media is showing if you're not showing nothing positive.
Nobody's complaining about it. We don't give a
what
fuck
you're
about,
saying
no one
and
cares about what the media is showing.
So I just wanted to.
The media is gonna,
ask a question.
That
because the media is only gonna show what they want to show.
A positive message should never be a secret,
But it's like, we can't, there's nothing we can do about that.
So first
People
thing
can
I
talk about
see
what they
is
want.
that communication is really hard. And part of speech is encoding a message, and then for the person who's listening to decode that message. We don't always get a choice on how that message is decoded. So sometimes we have to take a step back and reflect on, okay, was my message encoded in a way that could be decoded by that person? Because we do talk these different languages. Even though we all speak English, those things within our language come off differently within tone, context, and all of these other like minuscule things that we aren't necessarily aware of. So I think we're all like targeting all these different things that need to be addressed, and then it just takes a matter of taking a step back and getting out of ourselves to listen. And I think that we all have these beautiful ideas that will help this movement move forward. And I Native Hawaiian, what they want overall, this government, what is set up right now, wants us divided like this. They want us yelling at each other. They want us finding what makes us different. And it scares them when we find out what brings us together. Like the tear gas comment, that is some camaraderie. Yeah. They don't want us to have camaraderie. They don't want us to take our different privileges that we have as white and lighter skinned brown and black people to share those things freely. Like some of us have the advantage of having education. And sharing that kind of knowledge freely is gonna fuck them up. Let's fuck them up. And having the space for those things to be shared, like through streaming, shows not just like those people at home, but shows people in other cities that something is doable and there is a different solution to the same problem that maybe we did not think of. And that is part of the wonderful thing of having community, is that we have all of these individuals that have wonderful, great ideas and knowledge that we can all take advantage of. And it just is a matter of letting those voices come out and letting like certain things come as they will and learning from our experiences and making mistakes and being okay to be like, yeah, I fucked up, but how do we move forward? And focusing on how we fucked up, but like how do we move forward? And I was gonna ask is there a benefit that we see in utilizing like the master's tools, which is media, and how they have used it against us, and taking that same hammer, but using it in a different way to nail down that same nail. You don't always have to use the head of the hammer to nail down the nail. You can use the side of it and get that nail down. You can use the butt end of a hammer to get that nail where you need it to go. And I love to quote Audre Lorde. We can't dismantle the master's house using the master's tools, but how much of that is us putting, like reutilizing the tools that we have and using our knowledge and our power to spin that around for our own thing and our own narrative, like they use it against us. And I'd like to hear like if anybody has any comment on that for like community building.
And so
if anybody wants to like add into that, or like things that like maybe we can like tools that are seen that we can use for like to move forward.
So when you talk about tools to move forward, let me understand what you said. The statement you made about, or Carol, you used about taking down the master's house but not using the master's tools. And then your question is how do we build toward change and using the tools that we use to oppress us against the oppressor? Is that what you were saying?
Like, is that something that's doable? And like, especially as a community organizer, like, is that doable? What have you seen from your experiences, like, within the education system, within, like, interacting with the community, especially like the youth, and in terms of, like, moving forward, and how those things could be twisted around to benefit us?
Well, what, in my experience, and so in Atlanta, the recent action that I was a part of, we had a school system that had lead-based water, elementary school system, the Cobb County school system had lead water. You got in Fulton County, which is one of the largest counties in the state, well, Atlanta Public Schools, and the regentrification in Atlanta is taking place now. So when we get into this work, you got to understand that we already years behind. Because the community development and structure plans that they have, when you start moving in your communities and have those development meetings, they're already planning on moving you out. And so when you talk about using their tools, they already have one in over us. And one of the things about slavery that broke the economy for those particular white oppressors was not using their tools, but taking it away. Right? So we don't want to take anything that was used to harm us to take back to harm them. But if we dismantle and take away their tools, then what do they have left to work with?
And
Did that answer your question?
Yes, and I wanted to also like see how streaming fell into that. Like, just because like we stream, I try to hold interviews on like addressing different places within the system that oppress and how it oppresses, because a lot of people watching the streams do not understand like what is happening and how these systems actually affect Black, brown, and indigenous people. So it's like, how does streaming can we like how have you seen frankly streaming like we can benefit from?
Yeah, I think, like I said, I think for me personally, I mean, I can understand and see where, like I said, there's a disconnect. Like for me, I don't knock anything that happens in Portland, as far as the way that y'all do stuff. And if I talk about organization, it doesn't mean like, I understand the organizations are organized, like the organizations, like they have organizations that literally do different things and they all come together for the greater cause. That's what I see. But I also see, like you said, if you have people that don't want to be streamed and then you have streamers that want to stream, then that's what happens. You're going to get them streaming stuff that we don't see what's going on because y'all telling them y'all don't want to be streamed. So that makes more sense. But I believe the streamers have a place, but it's all comparative to your city. You have to have the people in Portland. These individuals have to believe that your story is important, that the revolution should be told through streaming. If they believe it shouldn't be told through streaming, you're going to have people that believe it should be told through streaming stuff that people don't understand, and then you're going to have the stuff that people looking to find and learn from never being streamed. And all I try to say is that the stuff that y'all doing that's effective, people can learn from that if they saw how y'all did it. You know what I mean? The police organize across the goddamn country. They're not organized only in a small municipalities. When something happen, the National Guard coming. All of them coming. You know what I'm saying? And that's how we got to be. We got to know what's effective in the different tricks and things that we doing in other cities and other communities so that we can effectively get change. You know what I mean? We got to know. That's the only way we're going to win this. I know that, I understand this about what's going on in Portland, but when I hear y'all say George Floyd, that didn't happen in Portland. When I hear y'all say Breonna Taylor, that didn't happen in Portland. That's a national thing. So now y'all representing a national cause, and y'all speaking on people that's fighting for more than what Portland fighting for. So then you got to care about what the people across the country that's fighting for the same thing when they hear y'all say George Floyd have to say, or the same thing when they hear y'all say Breonna Taylor. Because we want to be on the same page. We don't want Portland to be like, oh yeah, we fighting for George Floyd, but not that stuff they trying to demand for George Floyd. Because we got our own demands that they got. You know what I'm saying? So when it comes to national stuff, we do got to be on the same page. But at a local level, we got to help y'all accomplish what y'all said locally. Also, like she said, y'all got a problem with y'all mayor. That need to be national news, that the scandal that's going on with y'all mayor. That person need to be, all of y'all issues, we should be able to help y'all with. If y'all got to, say somebody got killed in Portland right now, the media not going to tell, I think it was him and her, and then him and then her. The media not gonna tell the story about who got shot, but y'all will. And if we are connected, we as activists around the country gonna tell the story with y'all, like, yo, this is what happened in Portland. And then after all the social media outpouring happened, like with Jacob Blake, then all of a sudden the media gotta pick it up. It gotta be something they picked up. But we can't come in. I walked across the country and heard about people I never heard about in every city. In every city. Jamarion Robinson in Atlanta got shot 76 times by the police. 110 bullets. They shot 110 bullets at him. Do y'all know who Joseph Mensah is? He killed 3 people in Milwaukee. Alvin Cole, you know what I mean? He killed Jay Anderson and Antonio Gonzalez in 5 years, and he a black cop. But he killed 3 people in 5 years. Don't nobody know about that. When I go through these other cities, people don't know what's going on. But if we connect as activists across the country, we could tell each other stories about what's going on in that city. When y'all march for that person in y'all city, we all across the country can march that day, on the day that they died for your city. We all across the country can spread that message, and that applies more pressure on the local government, on the National Guard that's coming in. That's what we need to do. It ain't about telling y'all how to do nothing or arguing with y'all on the way that y'all protest. It's really about how can we aid y'all in what y'all doing? How can we show the world what the problems is here? How can we show the world how y'all were successful here? How can we show the world all the different ways that we can help each other and build this across the nation, that we got a plan finally? We ain't gonna have another shot like this. I know you said there's been other marches, but not like this, bro. I wanted to clarify that too earlier. You said there's been it ain't been, I'm 40 years old, I'm 39. It ain't been nothing like this, bro, growing up. I couldn't do this at 20. It ain't been nothing like this, bro. All the other marches, they died down. We got people marching until somebody else get killed now. People ain't finna stop marching, bro. This is it. People fired up now. It ain't no dying down. It ain't none of that. Every time something happened before in this country, it just kind of died down before the next person got murdered. Before that, it'll die down. About a month worth of march. People everywhere across the country, everybody over 100 days in 20 different cities. People ain't trying to give up unless y'all, I know that y'all had the fire. And I don't know if that kind of canceled y'all from being able to protest because the fires came through. Okay, exactly. Because I was trying to come down here then, and they was telling me not to come because y'all wasn't going to be out there like y'all normally be. And I was like, I was like, fuck that. I want to be out there in the harshest conditions with them. I literally wanted to come. I want to be out there in the harshest conditions. When the white supremacists, Proud Boys came, I want us to come out here that day. You see what I'm saying? So when these things happening, we need to be able to fly in, we need to be able to organize, and we need to be able to just be on the same page. We got to put our differences to the side and fight for the same thing. Go ahead.
Yeah, Frank, what I would say, like, on top of what you're saying, is to take the time that you're down here to, like, especially the streamers and the media that are in this room, take your time to reach out to us and help us and connect you to get to the people that don't understand what's going on around the world, because there's some streamers that are more focused on just like what's happening locally. There's also streamers like myself and other people that have been traveling around the U.S. trying to get like a broader view of the message. And we ourselves have different like restream platforms and stuff that broadcast us to other cities, other states. Half of the people that watch, I know a lot of us are from different countries and stuff, and they are with us until we go there, until we get in our car and drive home at the end of the day. So it sounds like, you know, the bubble of whatever streamers you're comparing and saying that we're just trying to show the action or whatever, it sounds like the bubble of what you're watching is a little small. So while you're here for this week, take your time to reach out to, like I said, the people that are in this room, the people who go to the protest tonight, because we'll give you our information, and we would gladly love to have you give our information to other people that want to see what's going on, because there's people here every single night that have been out here every single night trying to show what's going on locally and like globally and everything else. So just come around and talk to us.
For sure, and I agree. That was I wanted to connect with the black people here. I know the white people because they came to Washington, D.C., but the first thing I said was I want to connect to see what the black people are truly doing. Like, I understand that y'all see me in D.C., but I need to know what y'all doing, because that's what matters to me. And the people that's showing, I want to connect with the individuals that's showing that. But like I said, the positive stuff, the stuff that y'all are doing correctly. I know y'all do stuff correctly. That's why I came.
You said people weren't getting speeches and stuff. I know you check my streams, but my streams are full of speeches. Adam does the same thing.
I do too. But I was going to say that, like, when events like this that are important to me, I film these too, but I have like 20 viewers, and then when I'm like at a protest where the cops are throwing shit, protesters, and I have like 300 viewers, and I tell them too, like, if you're just here for a riot porn, then like go out there. Like, I don't want to be,
And that comes with weeding those individuals out, telling people don't watch their streams, don't watch. Yes, you can. I will. I definitely will. You definitely can tell people not to watch certain streams.
Young adults. Like, I'm 19. Most of the people that we work with, the other organizations, were really young. And so, like, when we do go into meetings and we do have planning committees and just organizing, like, events, we do not have live streamers there. And so to get that across, like, nationwide, it's really hard to get that across because we don't have live streamers there. And we don't have live streamers just following us around. I mean, we've done, like, Timo and I, we've done 1,000 interviews with, like, you know, big named people like CNN, New York Times, but they don't cover what happens like at the meetings when we are planning for the march, because so much goes into that. And as young adults, I think it's like really impressive, and it's definitely something that gets undermined, is how much work goes into planning these like events, like getting motorcade on board and getting, you know, the medics on board and having a route. You need city permits, you need all these different things that people don't even understand. And it's like,
you don't need those.
As young
They'll
adults,
say it. They'll tell you that
what
though.
we're doing, but that is the type of stuff that media doesn't cover, and it's also that type of stuff that we don't really have media cover because it is a personal thing.
And I think y'all do good by not having them cover that. I think that y'all shouldn't stream like y'all meetings and y'all organizational stuff. That's y'all doing that right, and I commend y'all as young people, because it's very difficult, like you said, some stuff y'all don't know, and it should be people that's like getting the magnets together, getting all those individuals together. That type of stuff should be figuring out a way for that to just come together automatically, no matter who's leading a march, whether they're young or old, whoever leading a march. We as people should be coming together to make sure, especially young people, 19 and 20, that has decided that they don't want to follow rappers or their favorite musicians or basketball players. They want to be a community activist. They want to come together. We got to make sure that we support everything that you're trying to accomplish and what y'all trying to do.
It's just hard to get that nationwide when it's only just live streams.
Can I step in here real quick?
Go ahead.
We gonna tell the truth here, because that's what we doing. Okay, I can tell y'all personally that I myself have had to repeatedly tell live streamers to actually stream the black leaders that are speaking.
Okay.
Let me finish, please. Let me finish. I can tell you within the last month or so, we've gone to this no streamer thing. I've been here for a while, and I personally have had to tell live streamers, why can't y'all actually film the speaker? We standing up in the Justice Center, something happened around the corner, they gone. I know y'all seen that.
Yeah.
So we gonna keep it real here. We just started stopping these live streamers. Finally, I've been screaming that forever, because they haven't been showing the fucking black speakers. So let's keep it real. We just stopped that here. And even in the midst of stopping that, they still posting shit.
They still when they see something going on.
So let's keep it real. That's all.
I appreciate it. I thought I was imagining it for a minute. I thought it was in my head for a minute.
As a black streamer, from day one, I hear all the things that people are saying. Some of you are from Portland, some of you are not. I think all around the board that people need to assess the language that they use when they describe how they feel versus how they're discussing facts. Because we get confused about, I feel this, and I think this, and this is. And it's very important for people who aren't automatically bridged together from region or experience or whatever to really analyze how and what they're trying to communicate. Because I'm sitting here listening to you guys, and I'm hearing everything, and people are missing parts of it because of innocent changes in how we speak. Some of us have been streaming speeches and daytime events, and some of us, if you're watching black streamers, have been saying from day one that direct action is only a part of the movement, and that we need to film more daytime stuff. And those of us who have been to the house, who have been to the children's or the kids' protests, the female women's march, I'm not going to plug me, because it's not about me, but we do it. And if you go and look for us, associate with us, and network with us, those of us who do know things, we approach things cautiously because there is an anti-streamer sentiment for the percentage of people who are doing it, in most of our opinions, incorrectly, or to detriment to people's safety. People don't like a lot of the streams that don't show action because they're into that, because society is programmed into that. So they you pay attention to. You have a short attention span, theater going on constantly. And I'm going to task every single person here to find other streamers, other BIPOC people, especially if you're a white streamer, and associate with them. I'll tell you the whitest streamer, this is kind of funny, the whitest streamer I know is out there next to me almost every night that I'm out there. She's sitting in the back row, and she takes the time and the courtesy to stream conscientiously. And it happens. There are examples of the good and the bad, and I think we just need to check our language when we talk about it, because all-encompassing terms rub people the wrong way. And that's all I got to say about that.
So we're going to be ending pretty soon, but I know you've had a question that you want to ask.
I think everybody should add with
I actually didn't have a question. I just wanted to say, see each and every person here. I hear you. I see you. I love you. You guys do an awesome fucking job. I also want you guys to know you're all superstars. Okay? Each and every one of you.
Right here. Yo. Oh, go ahead.
Wanted to speak real quick on a couple of things that Frank was asking about, what we have had change here in Portland when we have been asking for our funding of police. We asked for initially $50 million to be funded from the police. We got $15 million to fund it. That's a start. And that $15 million right now, part of that is being implemented with a program that is starting to roll out. They are actually in the hiring process right now for social workers, because police are not social workers, and they don't need to be fulfilling those roles. And that's part of the training that we need to have happen. So we are taking the money away from the police, and we are putting them into the programs. We are putting them back into the schools, into the communities where the money has been taken away, where the students need it the most. Our Black children, our Asian children, our Hispanic children, our Native children that are being left behind. That's where the money is getting put. And that is just the beginning of what we are doing. We are also working with the city and the government and our community together. We are all putting our 2 cents in on what we want to have changed. And we are working on that. It's a process, but it's happening.
I just wanted to respond to that. That wasn't me. That was, she asked that. So, because I know what you guys do as far as defunding the police. I have no questions in that. And for me personally, I believe like in violence interrupters. I don't know if you guys are familiar with, you might call them something else. So one of the things that I would like to talk to you guys about instituting, because I heard him say that when he wants to defund the police about putting different programs is, for me, especially in mental health situations, and a lot of cities may have already had them, the police shouldn't even be going out there, okay? So we need outside organizations and outside entities, which I call violence interrupters, for non-violent crimes or crimes where the police shouldn't show up in our community, where individuals like me or the young man there or the young man here or the young lady there, we can show up on the screen first and de-escalate the situation and then hand it over to the police, or individuals that could actually
Fuck the police.
It ain't a, hold on. First, listen to what I'm Listen what I'm saying. Listen what I'm saying, because at the end of the day, you're gonna have some type of law enforcement. Okay, you're gonna have to have some type of protection. Listen to what I'm saying. Even if you enforce your law enforcement yourself, would you rather have the police showing up at a scene for a domestic violence or a person with a mental health situation, or would you rather have a mental health professional show up and subdue the person?
That person down the street, who's the grandmother in Old Lincoln, we all know, she knows everyone. She comes and she says, okay, we need to time out, we need to separate. And I think there's other alternatives.
But what I'm saying is, once the police are called, they're gonna come. Okay? When the police are called, they're gonna come. They're not gonna not come because you call them back and say, Grandma got it. Right. So what I'm saying is, once the police are called, okay? Once the police are called, they're coming. Okay? They may not need to be the individual that deals with me as a black person because they don't understand me. That's how we get killed in a lot of the situations, because the police are called. Right. But if you defund it and put the funding into individuals like us that could show up on the scene instead of the police or before the police are still going to show up. And we can take the situation. Yeah, they're still going. Go ahead.
What he's trying to say. So I live in Eugene. I'm from Portland. I live in Eugene. We have this thing called cahoots. I don't know if y'all know what cahoots are. So basically, what he is trying to say is something like cahoots. What would be?
Okay. Or for sure. Or you have an individual that like rides with the police that says you can't do that.
The thing. Oh, wait, hold on.
I'm saying, regardless, they're gonna show up. Like if there's, hold on, I got you. If you have an individual directly on this, if you have an individual on the scene that's not police that can directly say you can't do that, you can't arrest them this way, you can't grab them this way. That would be okay.
Hold on.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, wait, 1 second. Okay, you guys have to think with this. As this perspective though, I don't want to speak for you, but from what it sounds like, I could probably speak for everyone in this room, abolitionists. We want the police abolished. He sounds like a reformist, okay? So think of this from a reformist standpoint of what he's saying, basically. I don't agree specifically what he's saying, but what he's saying is basically, so how cahoots works in Eugene is like, when you call 911, you have to tell the dispatch that you want to get to cahoots. But we are pushing to get them a separate dispatch system so you don't have to go through the police. So what he's trying to say basically is that there needs to be someone like cahoots and a police officer, which I don't agree with. I think that it should just be a cahoots person that is there to handle non-violent crimes, because
I agree with that.
The thing what you're saying though is like having the police there automatically raises the chance of somebody getting hurt. So there's no need to have, like if there's like a domestic violence occurring, or if there's something non-violent, someone getting pulled over, something that's non-violent crime, there's zero reason for someone with a gun to be there. There's zero reason for them to be there. Like it's absolutely only putting people at risk and in danger for someone to be there. So when we say abolish the police, to just give you a quick background of what that means, that is obviously going to be a journey to do that. Defund, dismantle, reform, abolish. Like when we get to abolishing though, that doesn't mean there's not going to be a system in place to protect you from violent crimes. That's not what that means at all. It just can't be the police, because the police is a systematic racist
and we
system
all
that can't be saved, right?
But it happens in steps. So when you talk about like change, so right now, if a different individual showed up in the case like Daniel Prude, if a mental health individual showed up there instead of the police, who actually took a choke bag over his head and choked him out there in the street and killed him, and then the mayor and the sheriff of police covered up the murder. Right. In a situation like that, if you have a mental health individual that shows up on the scene and subdues him and does what they need to do as a mental health professional, and then when the police show up, they say, I already took care of this. They're going to show, because this is how the system's already set in place. You're not going to immediately.
Yes, and we're trying to change that.
I get that, right? I get that, but you're not going to, but I understand that, but you're not going to immediately get that change. How many years do you think it's going to change that? So until then, you do nothing. So then you have steps. So you have steps. So then you do things you can immediately do now, like stick an individual right there, right now, in between the police, and start to cut it down now instead of saying, no, we're not gonna do nothing. We're gonna continue to let the police show up.
But that's what something. Okay, I think to understand the cahoots model, how cahoots works is literally to stop people from.
Mike said.
Let's start wrapping this up. We're in
going, but the event itself is going to end.
Okay, yeah, for sure.
Really quickly, I want to remind our black leaders.
I agree to abolish the police as well.
It just sounds like reform.
No, you have to reform it first.
You have to reform it first, yes.
Of course.
So once everybody else is done, once New York is done protesting, once Milwaukee's done protesting, once Denver's done protesting, then people see us, right? They're finished watching everything else and they turn on us before the last one's on, right? And so I think it would be smart for our black leaders to remember that that's when the nation is watching us, towards the end of the night. That's when everybody has their eyes on us, right? So if at that point in time, all we're doing right then is we're fighting the police and we're at the point where we've had enough. I think we might need to remember that we're the last in the nation. So if we start speaking a lot later and bringing our voices, making our voices heard louder later, I think the rest of the nation might hear more what we have to say later.
Yeah, that's facts. It's also a problem though in Portland that like black voices are not getting lifted up by white people. Like that's the problem at the end of the night. Like when you go, when you go to the Justice Center late at night and you try to get a crowd to come listen to a black leader speak, they are not coming to listen. Like people.
Go ahead.
No, but I want to let Breck speak. Breck has been waiting a long time.
She's been waiting a long time.
Excuse me, real quick. You said something about white people not uplifting black people's voices.
Right.
That is the problem.
Right.
Lift every voice and sing. It's our ownership to own our narrative. It is our right to own our own voices and our own plight. And if we continue to give that responsibility to white people, we continue in this systematic oppression. So let's make sure that we are owning our own narrative.
No, yeah, I agree with you, but it's hard when you're outnumbered. When there's way more white people than black people, it's hard to own your own narrative in a place where white people are.
But then, if y'all say that, and then I say that's where organization come in, then people say, well, we organize. So those are all signs of unorganization.
I mean, yeah, but it's also a sign of being unorganized.
No, it don't matter if you got it don't matter. Organization.
If people don't want to listen to black people, they're not going to listen to black people. That's what we say. Because a lot of people out here are just anti-fascist. They're not anti-racist. They're anti-fascist.
You got more power than you think, brother.
No,
you by yourself can lead all these white people as one black person leading all of them.
This is our media now. We talked about what do we do when we want to get back at the oppressor. We take their tool away from them. So you take their tool away from them and you start showing the real deal. We begin to fund our own media resources. We begin to fund our own streaming companies. That's how we take their tools away from them and tell our story. I'm sorry, y'all.
Okay, so, I'm Diddy. I'm an activist. I have the privilege of being able to tour the country, and learn about what is going on in all the rest of the states. We went to Minneapolis, we went to Louisville, Detroit, Chicago, Ohio, Cleveland, Montana, Yellowstone. We went to a bunch of places, and one thing that I learned was the division in the movement between the black community is different in every place. And I also learned that the protesting is different. And so when you are a guest and you are coming into somebody's city, you have to first listen to them before you try to speak to them. Because the culture, the city's culture, the protesting culture, the culture of the division in the city is different. And so when the people of the city are trying to tell you what their goal is, we need to be listening to the goal. Because in this movement, there's two goals. There's what's happening in your city, and there's what's happening nationwide. And so as an activist who's doing both, I'm doing things in my city, and I'm also going to other places and traveling to other states to see the movement. And what I've noticed is that this movement, clearly from this discussion today, is very divided. And that's not okay, that's a problem. But, speaking specifically for our city, for Portland, and speaking for the stream, one thing that I've learned personally, and I believe this with everything, there's no good cops in this system. But, yes, but I also see the difference between cops in other cities and cops in my city. And one thing that I have to say is when I've gone to other cities, I've seen cops interacting with protesters in a good way. And I want to say like, oh, those are good people. They're not good cops. But one thing that people who are coming into our city need to understand is the majority of our police are white supremacists. There are police officers, I'm sorry, I'm going to start talking. Please let me finish. There's police officers who are walking around wearing cowboy shirts, wearing cowboy throwing up white power symbols. And when we talk about media, when we talk about the revolution not being televised, this is a prime example. There's a reason why Portland is the focal point of this movement. It's not because we are rioting, it's not because Portland is violent. Portland is violent, but not in the ways of this movement. And that is exactly what's being portrayed to media, is that the Black Lives Matter movement in Portland is violent. And that's just not true. I mean, there's definitely people who have done shady things, but speaking for myself, I call it out as I see it. And if I see someone doing something that's not for the movement, I don't care if you're yellow, I don't care if you're white, I don't care if you're black, you're getting called out. This is about unity. And so, speaking for me personally and for other people who I'm close to, when it comes to streaming, I personally, I don't like streaming because I keep my identity safe and I keep my identity hidden as much as possible. Because there's a lot of cities who are fighting for the movement, and the one thing that they're fighting against is the system. They don't have Proud Boys, they don't have Trump supporters, they don't have the police officers who are white supremacists doing the same thing at the same time. When we talk about our security, and we have people like Juice being our security, and people, our motorcade and our medics and all of those people blocking off our streets for us and doing all these amazing things. When I rolled up on a Trump rally, the people blocking off the exits and like helping them move through are the Portland police. And so people are not understanding, not only are we dealing with the racist system, but we're dealing with racist people at the core. And so one thing that I have to say about streaming is personally, and with the connections that I have like out on the streets and out in the field, is that these people, before they start recording, come up to me and say, can I film you? Because that's how the culture is here. And that's how it has to be. Because people are being dragged off the streets. People are being shot down. Personally, one thing that you had said, Frank, that kind of caught me off guard a little bit, is when you said that the riots in Portland, that the police are not tear gassing for no reason.
The people are what?
Like the rioting in Portland, like we're not being tear gassed for no reason.
We're not being treated. No. I said that in the beginning they were tear gassing us for all the time for no reason. They calmed that down, and I said they're not doing it just like constantly every day for no reason anymore because they see that when they leave us amongst ourselves we divide. On an every day. Okay, that's what's up. Well, I mean, that's cool. Like, well, maybe It's.
Okay. So one thing that people need to understand is that as a young woman in this, I'm only 22. I'm very young for this movement. And so when I do my research and I see things pop up, because things that are being like live streamed, there are people, and I've seen personal messages, there are people who are here only to infiltrate. And it's very hard, especially living in one of the whitest cities in America, and being a black woman, you don't know who your allies are all the time.
That's right.
And you stand out. And so I'm also frustrated because this whole streaming thing of like everything needs to be like on camera. I can see what you're saying, but also understand from our perspective. When we were in the car, when we were on the road trip, I was looking at messages of a discussion between Proud Boys, and they were talking about someone that I know specifically on the street, of how they're going to hurt him, to kill him, to do whatever they're going to do to silence him. And so these people, there are people who are watching things being posted and looking for faces, and targeting people. And so there's things that I've even gone throughout this movement that I have to check myself and go, wait, is this just like random, wrong place, wrong time, or was this a targeted offense? And so these are the things that we constantly have to keep in mind. And speaking on the riots and everything, when everything was happening down at the Justice Center, I was speaking. I had the microphone in my hand when I got shot down. And one thing that I noticed is the wall of lawns, they didn't budge. So what did I tell you? The feds were shooting at me. They weren't shooting at them. They weren't shooting at the crowd. They were shooting at the person peacefully speaking to the people. And so, like, I need people to be aware of that, and I need people who are coming into the city to first listen to what we're saying. Because yes, you're on the panel, and yes, you guys have amazing things to say, but just because you're on a panel does not mean that other people do not have a platform too. It does not mean that you're more educated than other people in this crowd. You might be one of the more educated people in your city, but this isn't your city. This is our city. And so you're coming here to listen, because in all reality, you're coming here to learn, because we're teaching you about our city. And not just that, but with all due respect, again, Portland is the focal point of this movement, and not because of the way that the media has wrongly portrayed us. The reason why we're being wrongly portrayed is because of what we're doing right here. So that's all I have to say.
Let me respond to that.
One thing I want to speak power and truth into this room, because when I came into this room, I own Portland's work. I speak power and truth to the movement of the people that's in here. I speak energy to uplift you. I speak, right? I want you guys to know that, yes, I see it. I feel you. Everything that you said at 22 years old, my babies are 23. And to see you out here in this movement is awesome. I've learned so much about Portland just being in this room. And then over the past, it's been like 5 weeks talking to Carissa, wanting to know about your government, wanting to know about what's happening with black women in Portland. What is going on with our black boys in Portland. So Carissa has been a really good resource to help educate me on Portland and the things that's going on here. Samantha don't protest. I went out probably 3 years ago in Illinois to protest for baby Samaje, a baby that was murdered, found dead on her couch. It was a homicide. Had been arrested. And what moved me to go out and protest was the Department of Children and Family Services and how they executed that case, and being someone who was already working in the system and knowing that the system had utterly failed that child is why I drove from Atlanta back to Illinois to stand on the front line and protest, but also meet with the leadership in that, it was in Joliet, about what had happened to that child. You're right. When in our communities across the country, we are divided. So we don't want to just look at this as this is just a now. This is something that's been systemic. This is a part of the systemic plan of America. The millennials, I'm so proud of you guys, because Generation X, and I have to be honest, we didn't do right by y'all. We were more concerned about our well-being, our careers, and getting to the middle class, right? And I said we, even though I was a late bloomer. I did. I got in this thing late, y'all. At 30 years old, I went back and got my GED. I went to school 5 years around the clock, or the season around the clock, and 5 years I landed my master's in social work from Clark Atlanta University. So what I want more than anything is to this energy, this power that God gave me, this message that He gave me of empowerment to bring this forward. I yield to learn. I yearn to learn. I am a student first, because public service in leadership, the most powerful leader is someone who serves. So I don't have a problem with rolling my sleeves back or answering a phone call or email if you guys have an idea and you want to run it past. What do you think about this? I don't have a problem when you come to Atlanta connecting you to the who's who and who's organizing in Atlanta. Because believe it or not, when people show up in Atlanta and protest, my phone starts ringing because Atlanta is so tight-knit that they want to know who knows this person. And if they know this person, can we get behind them? And if they don't give a door open for them to get behind them, that person won't be successful. That is Atlanta all day long. So when you're in your Portland, in your community, I'm not mad at them. It should be the same way. Because what you all have experienced here in Portland and with the Antifa, the antagonizing that's going on here against y'all causes you.
I am Antifa.
The antagonizers, sorry guys.
I am
The
Antifa.
antagonizers.
I am Antifa. I am
Stop
Antifa.
y'all. Stop y'all.
I am Antifa.
Stop y'all. Look, it's Auntie now. Auntie in the house now. It's Auntie.
Stop watching the news.
No, I don't watch the news. That's one thing I don't do. I don't watch the news.
I don't know where you got Antifa from. That's what I'm trying to figure out.
We're moving to a close right now, you guys, but I have thoroughly enjoyed this space with you.
I know I got something to just because I'm the person I am, I got something to say right before we close. Because I got to respond to certain things that's always said. I appreciate being told I'm here to listen. But you need to tell the person that brought me here that shit. When you bring a person to a city and they sit down with people like they sat down last night, I listen. They picked the topic of discussion. I didn't say shit. All three of them talked. They picked the way this show was going to go today or the session was going to go. They picked all this shit. They picked who was going to talk, the order they was going to talk in. They picked who was going to ask questions. I didn't pick shit. I listened. So what happened was they told me that I was here to talk. They said that y'all was going to ask 3 questions and we was going to talk. That's what I was told. Now, if y'all want me to come to a Portland listening session, I'd love to come to that. But when you call somebody and ask them to come talk, that's what they going to expect to get there and do. But the thing before I even go to a city and talk is I talk to individuals for months before I even come to a city. You can't assume that I came to Portland without talking about people about what was going on here. You can't assume that I just came in here without having extensive conversations without individuals that know what's going on here. But the truth of the matter is y'all saying different shit. Some of y'all saying we don't want to be televised. Some of y'all saying the white people ain't showing the black people that speaking. So I'm listening to y'all say different shit. Either y'all want the streamers to uplift y'all or y'all don't want to be streamed. He can say the same thing I said. Y'all will cheer for the shit I said and y'all say I'm not for Portland. So a lot of times I'm just listening to what y'all saying and I agree with what y'all saying and I agree with what y'all doing here. I agree with everything y'all got going on. But I also know that I talked to a lot of people before I came here. And one last thing, and there's no disrespect to Portland, but every city feel like they're the center of the Black Lives Matter movement. I didn't fucking get to. Every city, I'm being real. Listen to what I'm saying. Every city I've been to, listen to what I'm saying. That's what every city feel like that. Milwaukee feel like that. Milwaukee been marching for 140 days also. I'm saying, listen to what I'm saying. You don't understand. Every city I've been to feel like that's just the truth. Yeah, relax. Right. It's not, my point is, I got it for instance. Every city feel like they're the center of the movement. Every city feel like they're the center of the movement. It ain't no center of the movement. It ain't no city that's the center of the movement. The movement ain't about one city. It's about the people. It's about the revolution. It's about change. It ain't about Portland. It ain't about Chicago. It ain't about whatever city think that is center of the revolution. That's just the truth. And as long as the city think they're the center of the revolution, they're gonna isolate themselves from the rest of the world. What do you think everybody else watching think when Portland say we the center and
When
we do
people
the...
hear you're from Portland all over, I travel all over the country. When people hear you're from Portland, they lose their fucking mind. They lose their mind. They're like, oh my God, you're from Portland, y'all been getting your ass beat. Oh my, the police is crazy there. Everywhere, bro. I'm telling you.
You guys create some pizza and talk amongst yourselves more as well.
That's the truth, bro. It's whatever city the last person died in. Go to Kenosha. Jacob Blake got shot. That's where they just had the Rockefeller event yesterday, bro. Why the Rock ain't throw it here, bro? Why they just had the Rockefeller protest yesterday in
Kenosha was not nothing until Lana come on, bro.
Huh?
Kenosha, no one talks about Kenosha until Kyle
Bro, all they talk about Portland is where the black people, bro. I'm being real, bro. They don't like. They say they think it's a bunch of white people running around getting beat up. I'm here to see what's going on with the black people here, bro. True, whether a person want to believe it or not. That's what's going on, bro. Y'all in Portland. You gotta be outside of Portland to really understand.
Bro, I have traveled the country, bro. I'm 20 years old.
But y'all saying that y'all ain't showing what y'all doing here. Y'all live yourself. Like, y'all make no sense. Y'all say, I don't want to be on camera. I don't want to show what we doing. I don't want to show our positive shit. I don't want to show our strategies. But then y'all will say, well, the white people not filming us. They not uplifting them. Then that's unorganized.
Nah, we doing a lot though. There's a lot of organization. Like there's demands and shit.
That's not what we saying. We're not talking about. It's a pipeline, bro. It's like a pipeline. You can have the water flowing all you want. When that pipe ain't connected somewhere and it fall off, nobody know what the fuck you doing because that pipe ain't
That's
connected.
different people. Like the young people, I get it. They don't want to be filmed, bro, because there's a lot of people doxing them. You know what I'm saying? Like they're doxing the young people.
I'm a college basketball player, bro. I got arrested.
Film yourself.
Yeah.
I film myself. I create my own hair. I create my own hair.
Your platform is way bigger than the Rock platform.
Why?
It's different when you film yourself.
Why my platform bigger than y'all?
I'm just telling you.
If y'all the center of the movement.
When I get arrested,
niggas ain't gotta learn from me. Continue to let the white people know y'all see with this thing.
I don't want to be recorded.
Your movement was powerful, bro. To be honest with you, your movement
and it's one
from
person.
Wisconsin
It's
to
only
Washington.
powerful because it is.
I only started following you because of your march. You know what
But
I'm
it's
saying?
only powerful because it is.
Most definitely.
The media wasn't gonna tell my story. This told my story. So when I hear y'all telling y'all don't want to tell the story with this, I'm trying to tell y'all that
It's just different people. It's just
behind the scenes work is the stuff that is not going to be
I ain't say film that. I said film the
That's
stuff
what
he
they're talking
listed.
about. Everything else is getting filmed.
Defunding the police, all the stuff he listed y'all accomplished. Those accomplishments should be said every time y'all stream. Them demands should be said every time y'all stream. Why are your demands a secret, bro? I said y'all demand, and when y'all go stream, the first thing they said, these are the demands from Portland.
Because what we trying to do as far as organizing,
You know what I'm saying? Why your demands a secret? How's the demand a secret? That's
my man Matt right here is another organizer in Portland. He an organizer in Eugene. You know what I'm saying? I'm an organizer in Portland. So what I gotta do is I gotta tap into everybody to make sure everybody on that same page with those demands. You know what I'm saying? Like that's as far as like I need to tap in with all my black organizers to make sure we all on the same page.
And we've been, but the thing is, we've been doing that though.
I didn't say y'all have.
Right, but when I came from Washington D.C., I created a National Organizers Association group chat with 36 different states. 36 different states. There's a Black Liberation group chat worldwide. He's in there. That is happening. We know what's happening in other places. It's happening on Signal. It's happening on Telegram. It's happening because the revolution will not be televised. It's not happening on the street.
And we're doing those solidarity marches like you talked about. We're doing those solidarity marches.
Those solidarity marches have been happening. Alright, I'll be honest. When I went to Olympia, right, I met organizers in Seattle when the movement was very first started. We had a big ass solidarity march in Olympia, and that sparked this idea of solidarity marches. Ever since then, there's been solidarity marches. There's been flyers that have multiple different organizations, multiple different. It's like it doesn't matter anymore.
Yeah, but I never said that was our problem.
But what's the problem? Y'all don't need to know. If you want to know the underground stuff that we're doing, then connect with the grassroots organizers.
You wanted
when y'all go out there and y'all scream, like I said, George Floyd, Breonna Taylor,
and you got people that's already connected to the George Floyd family. They wonder what the fuck going on with all these white people running the movie. That's how it looks. I went to Louisville. And the black people here, because at the end of the day, we gonna tell the white people you can't do that shit. What the fuck y'all got going on in Portland? I ain't trying to be like that. I wasn't gonna be rude to everybody. But we don't allow the white people in our cities to do that shit. Yeah, but y'all have way less white people. No, we don't. That's your perception. Milwaukee is rated the most segregated city in the United States. Yeah, we've seen the racism just as thick there. Like y'all say, oh, we the only space with the Proud Boys and the police. Man, look, you should see how many motherfuckers on this train shit. What the fuck is they talking about? They ain't never been in my city. They ain't never protest here. They ain't never march here. When you say shit like that, you don't know what you're saying to the rest of the people. Nigga, it's racist police in every city cracking our heads. Nigga, what fuck y'all be talking about, bro?
Look at the number, bro.
It ain't no different number, bro. White people racist everywhere.
The police brutality in Portland is 15 times more crazy than any time. On God, look it up. Than any other place, bro. Any other place. The shit that's happening in Portland is not happening in Portland, bro. I don't know that.
I'm asking you about the police, exactly, bro. Y'all don't even have the cases, bro. I can name like 7 people been killed in Milwaukee by the police, bro.
Okay,
that we specifically fight. The fight we actually fight right now. The fight we actually marching for. The shit you say y'all marching for, not the shit y'all tell me in this room when y'all say, oh, we only marching for Portland, shit, we defund the police. The shit y'all tell the world when y'all say George Floyd and Jacob Blake and all that shit. Y'all don't have more cases of that type of shit.
We are fighting.
Y'all might got more, right, but y'all might, what I'm saying is reported cases as well. Every city don't report their cases. Y'all got a lot of white people here that's gonna report their cases. It wasn't just black cases of public brutality you're talking about. You're talking about white people here. A lot of white people gonna get they shit charged. They gonna get their shit taken care of. A lot of black people be victims of public brutality, and that's it. You get arrested, you go to jail, you get out, you don't prosecute, you don't charge, you don't complain. White people gonna make sure they fucking make the complaint to the sheriff and all that shit. So that don't mean that it's more black cases in Portland than across the country. That just mean, okay, so that don't mean nothing to black people when y'all say that y'all 15% more of police brutality on white people. Yes, it matters.
There's a difference between anti-fascist and anti-racist.
Because when we talk about Proud Boys and racism from the police, it matters.
It's not the same though. We're fighting police brutality, period.
I think what's different about that though is like Portland and Oregon is one of the main hubs where KKK was actually formed at. So
actually it was formed in Warsaw, Indiana. And I just walked through Warsaw, Indiana, the home of the KKK, and Knox, Indiana, the founder of the Aryan Brotherhood currently lives there. And Indiana was where the KKK was formed and still resides. Those are facts. And when I walk through there, they way fucking more racist than Portland, bro. I'm telling you, bro. Indiana is the most racist. I drove here, bro, and I'm gonna be real with you. I seen a lot of Black Lives Matter signs in a lot of communities that was all white, bro. I went through Indiana, I ain't seen no fucking Black Lives Matter signs in none of them communities, bro. Okay? You have white people here that's on your side. In Knox and Warsaw, Indiana, you have no white people on your side. It is so. Just like they don't think black people live in Portland. It's the same about probably 3 to 5% just like here.
The thing that's happening in Portland, bro, I have traveled, bro. I'm telling you, just like you have traveled, bro, I'm telling you, I have traveled. I met Breonna Taylor's family. I met the people that are occupying that George Floyd Square. I met these people. Portland is different, bro. Like, I can't explain it because you don't live here. You haven't been here, bro. It is different, bro.
Y'all do different shit. Y'all set barricades at night. Y'all set fires in the street at night. Y'all do different shit.
It's not just that, bro.
I'm saying nobody else doing that either. So you gonna have different responses for the different tactics you use, bro. That's just life. It's shit that go on in Milwaukee that won't go on here. We didn't feel like, man, they don't do that shit to niggas in Portland. Like everybody feel like that because they doing specifically different shit that antagonize the police differently.
But Portland, bro, it's not how Portland, how the police are beating people in Portland every single day. That is not happening nowhere.
So what? Okay, look at it.
Depending on how you see it. see it, bro. Cause I heard it was pretty calm last night. The shit I went to, didn't nobody get beat up. Police didn't even come.
Where did you go though?
Some shit they had, it was a protest they told me.
Well, to the Red House.
Well, we don't have no safe zones in Milwaukee, nigga. So I don't know what you're talking about. They'll beat our ass everywhere. I don't know what you're talking about. So whenever, you get what I'm saying? Whenever we go protest, it ain't no safe areas.
I didn't say safe house. I
You know what I'm saying? But he's saying like, oh, it's the Red House, so of course it didn't happen here. We don't have no areas where of course it don't happen.
What can they do to us?
You get what I'm saying? I don't have no protest in Milwaukee that is like, well, what can they do at this spot? We don't have not one area like that. They'll beat our ass anywhere.
That is an occupy somebody's house.
This conversation
So y'all have safe spaces.
This conversation is really divisive, though. So how do we come together?
I don't think it is. I don't think he really holding on to this energy.
No, he's not. But I'm just saying, how do
I think
we
it's
come
more
together?
education on Portland ain't really as different as you think. You can't, you know what I'm saying? He thinks that Portland got some special case of all this shit going on here. Y'all have more cases because y'all do different shit. Is what I'm explaining. If you said
We're
any city
protesting
that,
different. We're
right,
protesting
any
different.
city that protests the way y'all protest, the police gonna do the
But
same
they're not.
shit.
Exactly. They're not. No one
It's
else
not
is doing
it's
that.
not y'all have more racist police here, bro. It ain't it's more Proud Boys here. It's the fact the way y'all protesting is agitating
So
them more
you're
than other
saying
cities.
because they have been to other states and they have been to other
They're not
cities.
agitating like they are here.
Exactly. But no, they're not even out here talking with them. They actually interact with the police, even when I was in DC.
But because some people, but y'all ain't trying to interact with the police. Keep it real out here. Right.
When we
so
first,
they can't interact with y'all, so they not going to. You know what I'm saying? You gotta be real. Y'all gonna be like, fuck you, get away from me, cop.
so how can we bring this
Have
together?
the
That's what
police
I'm
ever
saying.
tried to interact with y'all? Y'all be like, fuck
Yeah,
you.
they did. At the beginning. At the
We don't talk to cops.
Okay.
That is the
So
rule.
when you see, that's different tactics.
You know, but the tactic that you're not understanding is talking to a regular fucking police officer is not gonna do nothing.
No, but
for us.
what I'm saying is if the police approach y'all and y'all decline the police, you can't be like, well, the police working with people in other cities, they won't even talk to us. They can't talk to us.
No. We don't say that police aren't trying to talk to us. We
That's what
say
y'all saying.
We don't talk to police. We say that. We say we do not talk to cops. That is the rule.
Right.
We do not talk to cops under any circumstances. You know why? Because a regular ass cop cannot do shit for you.
Not a regular cop. The captains can.
The sergeant that sits on the city council, anything that I say,
I always call for the sergeant. Where your boss at? Where your boss?
When I talk to the sergeant can't do that. That the city council can't do that. Like the city council can do everything that's
But it be stuff that's happening directly on the spot. Like when the police charge me up for anything, I be like, go get your sheriff. If the sheriff come, I'll be like, man, your officer stopped me for this bullshit. We gonna keep going. He be like, go ahead.
We don't rock like that here, bro.
Yeah, because I check the police. I tell them what I'm gonna do. Get the fuck out my way.
You can't do that here.
You can do it here. Because, right, it don't matter. Fuck what niggas think is going on. It's not about what people think going on, bro. You can't live for what people think.
I think it's not safe.
I'll give you an example. Check it out. I get that. We end up, yeah, whatever you want to make. We was in Washington, D.C. Same shit happened. We don't talk to the police. They was running from the police all night, running the police, chasing them with billy clubs, all this shit. What the fuck going on? We get to a state house like the Red House. Police still gonna pull up and they start running. I said, hold the fuck up. I said, listen, police. Said, man, we ain't out here because we fight the police, we out here because y'all fight us. Man, we finna march where the fuck we finna go. We ain't finna be fighting y'all and running from y'all all motherfucking night. We finna march where the fuck we finna go. And we want y'all to stay the fuck out our way. They said, well, which way you wanna go? It don't matter which way we wanna go, we finna march. But I ain't finna keep running all night with you niggas. Running, I'm not finna keep running and shit, running and you know, they say, oh, we don't talk to the cops, why the fuck you negotiate? Nigga, I ain't negotiating, niggas running. Y'all running around, we been running for 40, y'all just running and shit, why? Fuck running around, we finna march through these, and we marched for the rest of the night, bro. Police left, went away and shit. You know what I'm saying? Because I told, they wouldn't do it there neither. Every city I've been to, if you watch my marches, they told me the same shit. Police said, we can't do that here, watch me do it.
No,
watch
but
me
look,
do it, watch me
but
do it,
look
watch me
though,
do
look
it.
though. As soon as we do this, look, I'm on the sidewalk, as soon as we go like this, on the street, you know what they're gonna say? At first they were saying it's unlawful assembly. Now what they're saying is, oh, it's a riot. Boom, it's our street nights. And then Ted Wheeler banned tear gas. You know what that did? As soon as he banned tear gas, these niggas start shooting us with rubber bullets and actually beating our asses. Like, nigga, I know. I've been shot with it.
It's a lot of stuff that where we differ. Where y'all talking about, oh man, they might see my face on the street. Nigga, I'm here to die for this shit, nigga.
Oh God.
So when
Oh,
y'all
God.
get to talking that, I don't want to see my face because the police will see me.
y'all see
But
my face, but that's some young people don't want to.
that.
Yeah, but nigga,
I walk across the
think
country,
about
I'm ready to die for
this
this
though,
shit. So
bro.
when y'all talking all that other
all that other, I don't want nobody to see my face and all that shit. Police walking with y'all. Y'all don't know
Nigga, I
that
got
shit.
shot in the head,
Police
nigga,
marching
I'm
with
moved
y'all
on.
every day. The police is walking next to y'all every day, playing clothes in the crowd, acting like protesters, bro.
But listen,
Getting your
listen,
information like they protesters. Don't think they don't know who you is.
No. And you could be right, but I'm telling you this.
I know I'm right.
You know, from a standpoint of this though, I'm 20 years old and I'm a college basketball player, right? And then I get arrested. I got arrested, right? I got assaulted. It hit national news by police. Now, if I get charged, that is my scholarship taken away. That is my life taken away. Covering my identity, because no matter what, like you said it earlier, no matter if someone throws a brick, whatever, we all gonna get incriminated, right? You said that earlier. So if a nigga goes and throws a brick, right, and I don't have my identity covered, and the police might start targeting because they do shit like that. Like Teal, the girl with the blonde hair, that's wearing the yellow suit. Every time she goes out, the police target because they know her face. They know her.
But if you're gonna be a voice in the movement, you already a target. You can't hide with a mask.
And I know that.
Either be a regular. If you a voice in the movement, you cannot hide from a stream, from a mask. If you are a voice in the movement, FBI, police all know who you is. They following you, all that shit. You can feel like you think you on some special agent shit.
But I can come out at any day and be blocked up and nobody know who I am, man. Any day, anytime I
get locked up, right? Because y'all don't stream.
No, I'm not locked up, blocked up. Like all completely blocked out and nobody can know who I am. I can come out like that.
But then you're not a voice no more.
No, that's not true though.
At that moment, you're not.
That's not true because every time you go out,
because they don't even know if you black or white.
You don't have to.
We don't even know if we should listen to you. There's no validity in it. Put like this. There's no validity in your voice if we don't know who you are.
No, but every time that we come out though, I know that I'm a leader. I know I got a lot of knowledge. I know I got a voice. But I know that every time I come out, it's not my time to speak though. It's not my time to lead because we got so many leaders and so many people that are ready to speak up. There's a problem with that. You feel me? In our community, there's people that think that every time they go out, they gotta say something. Every time they go out, they gotta lead something. No, sometimes I wanna go out and observe and watch the other leaders of my community be leaders of my community. I don't feel like, nigga, I'm not fucking Malcolm X. I'm not Martin Luther King. I'm not Huey P. Newton.
See you in these streets hopefully. Oh, y'all been in the streets all week.
Like every time I come out, I don't want to feel like I gotta be Malcolm X. You feel me? I don't want to feel like that I gotta come out instead and be like, hey, listen to me. You feel me? Gather around. I'm speaking. You feel me? Because people have heard my message. They've heard how educated I am. And I'm
This is different though. For me, I'm a face of hope. So I gotta show my face every time I go out. I can't hide my face. I want people to see that no matter how many times they try to kill me, how many times they try to silence me, I'm still out here every day. I don't want people like where Frank Nitty was today. He might have been out there with his face hid today.
Niggas are gonna know I'm out there. No matter if I'm blocked up. Niggas always know I'm out there. They
With your
know.
face hid?
Yes, with my face. Bro, I promise. Go ask them if they know who I am when I
what
walk
people
up.
feel when they talk to me. They say you are a symbol of hope.
And people
because
tell
you
me
say-
that too.
They say that you never afraid.
I'm never afraid either, bro.
So when they see your face, I'm just telling you the different perspective. I'm not telling you to change. I'm telling you this is why I choose you, because this is what it does for people. I'm not saying either side is wrong. Maybe both sides can be right. I'm telling you what you'll gain more by always showing your face. It's more people that are hopeful that they gonna step out. They gonna come out now. They gonna show their face now.
It's also about understanding the dynamic of Portland.
I agree. Not
There's
talking. You don't gotta talk every
There's a
day.
lot of like shit that goes on that incriminates everybody. Like the other night, nigga, I was chilling. You know what I mean? We're police unlawful something. Some nigga in the back, boom, throws a ball from the car. That incriminates all of us. Feel me? We just gotta
See, that's the type of shit that when I talk to y'all that don't happen in other cities like that.
Right. And
They know
that is
you
a
know
form of
why?
white supremacy.
No, you know why? Because we check them motherfuckers.
Yeah, but I told
We
you
be
like
having
I said,
people going through the crowds. We know who our white people is.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? We make you take your mask off. Let me see your face.
But if all the anti-fascists versus all the anti-racists are like, all the anti-racists are like, yo, nigga, you gotta get on with what we're doing, or you gotta get out here. The anarchists are like, nigga, fuck you. Like that's what they're saying. And we don't have enough numbers to be like, nigga, fuck you.
You got no power.
You don't.
As a black person, you do. It's your movement.
That's facts.
So it ain't even a question. Either you white people gonna be allies and stand behind me, you tell them they don't even have a choice. You got the right to.
Facts. And we are working on that shit though. But it's been an ongoing problem with Portland with white people not uplifting black voices.
That's why y'all need black people from other cities like me stand behind y'all so that they can say they got, listen, hold on. So they can be like, nah, y'all do got more black men.
Yeah, but I'm gonna tell you this. The people that have been out there every single day, they're gonna be like, who the fuck are you?
I don't care. That's how
listening to you.
I ain't asked to listen. I said I came to be behind y'all. I don't give a fuck. Portland can be left alone. I don't give a fuck. Portland ain't gotta be in the loop. I could give a fuck less. I don't want to take over Portland, so I can give a fuck. I'm just trying to help organize the country.
And I'm doing that, bro.
You know what I'm saying? So if they don't want to listen, I don't give a fuck. You get what I'm saying? I don't. Because I don't listen. For personally, I threw a party on the courthouse steps. I've done in every single city I've been to shit that the people in their own city couldn't do.
I know, and bro, I was doing the same thing.
So for me, when I hear the problems in Portland, they ain't gotta listen to me. They can act like they don't do this. I don't give a fuck. Cause they make I don't have those problems, bro. The white people in our community don't not film us, and we ain't gotta tell them to film the black activists. They know they wrong. You don't have to sit. We don't have a racist problem in our protest that y'all said y'all had, bro. You know what I'm saying? Y'all saying y'all had a problem, but then y'all saying that y'all don't want to hear the solution. Yeah, you say you had a problem, but you saying you don't want to hear the solution from an out of towner. That ain't my fault. Yeah, that ain't my fault.
It's black people standing up for themselves, like you're saying. Black people have power. Okay.
Stand up to these white folks that ain't streaming y'all, not me.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Not me. Don't stand up to me. Y'all ain't even stand up to these white folks that ain't streaming y'all.
I can tell you honestly, recently though, we've been no streamers at all in our last couple of deals. But I've been saying that from day one. I talk to the streamers. I say, man, why ain't you streaming the sneakers? And I haven't walked away from it. But now.
Oh, this was this. Oh, exactly. And it was like and it was like yeah, me. And it was like basically it was like, so what can we do? What can we try to fund? Blah blah blah. And the next thing was a CARES Act, you know, I think it was a bunch of money. So what she did was, they took out a meeting, found out the kind of program that we needed, the Randall Wyatt program to take ownership, a bunch of high names out there. Everybody knew about this. Then the people what happened, and they took the information down, then they started the people, and they started push the money their way. Then started calling me to protest. Randall Wyatt's protest. He's like, no, I'm not. He called me. Well, why did they protest? Because they gave you money, right? Yeah. And they want to try to say, oh, this is the guy. He's a good kind of protester. And he was always claiming that she has the right. Just gives her money and keeps pushing them.
He's doing the rebuilding of the house on himself.
Yeah. So if you tell them that the home, you know what I'm saying, that's what we need to do, they'll go do that. Now they want to fund the schools all of a sudden and all that shit. Yeah. Right? Why? They didn't want to do that shit last year. Right. Why they want to fund it now? They're talking about the police. They're trying to change the subject. So that's why I'm saying, like, we could have to work with them, but we got to be really careful what we tell them, because they're going to find the things that we need or not, or things that we want, that we need, and then get other people to peel off. If I had a nonprofit, and I'm like, defund the police, I keep around, yo, I'll give you 10 million for your nonprofit, honestly, like, yo, I'm a chill. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just that simple. But who's gonna say something? If you want to ask guys, and they're like, you got $15 million, then you don't go on this shit.
That's been the problem in Portland, though.
Bro, that's why I was having an issue with the march we had that one time, and I was upset, talked about it. That's why I was seeing that shit happen. I'm like, oh, these niggas are coming from the same old niggas from last time. Like, I did this before, the same old niggas. The imagination of it happened. I knew that was coming out in principle. I'm sorry, I had to, yeah, I didn't want to say that on here. But people, you feel me now, bro? Okay, we on the same page now? Okay, that's it. So,
a lot of people,
we all in agreement, y'all. We in agreement now.
Are like, okay, the white people are coming in numbers and they're kind of policing us. Because what's happening is a lot of people are policing people, but then don't want to be policed by the police. And it's like, okay, because in a way, black people should be policing white people. You feel me? But we can't teach a white ally how to be a white ally when the white allies can be like, I will educate you on my people's history.
No. Definitely tell a white ally how to be a white ally.
I can't. I don't know
Yes,
what it's like
you
to be
can.
white.
No, it's your ally. You know what the fuck you need from them.
No, you can definitely tell them what they can't do.
As a white ally, you know what you need. You don't know what you need from your white
You know when a
ally.
white person come up to you
How
and
you don't
say,
know what you need? That's like if I got an assistant or anything else, I know what the fuck I know what their job description is, bro.
That's
You
valid.
better know
Also,
what
when
you
a
need
white
from your
person
white
walks up to you
ally.
randomly at a protest, like, yeah, I want to help. And you're like, nigga,
Okay,
you tell me how you can help.
Organize,
Because
right?
When you hire somebody as your secretary, nigga, you know how they can help.
White person walks up to you and says, "I want to help." What do you say?
I say, how can you help? How can you help? Because when you say you hire somebody as your secretary, right? They're not gonna walk to the job and say, y'all, I want a job. And then you gonna say, how can you help my company? You're not gonna say, okay, well, here's what I need you to do. No, you're gonna say, how can you help benefit black people and black liberation? How can you do that? You tell me how you can do that, and I'll let you know if you can do that. If you can't,
In a sense, I think it's more asking what are your strengths.
Yeah,
Not necessarily because they might not know how to help. Well, I don't know how to help. That's why I asked you. I asked you how can I help, and you said, well, how can you help? Well, how can I help? Well, how can you help? Well, how do I help?
But you might tell me, well, shit, hey, we need 5,000 posters printed, and you work at a screen printing store.
Right.
I might be like, okay, well, yeah, my job, I work at a screen printing store, so maybe I can help with that. Oh shit, we need 5,000 posters.
So then this is what you do. This is what I do. When white people ask me how can I help, I have a conversation with them about why do they want to help? Like,
It's not our job as black people though to tell a white person how to help black people. That is their job to figure out how they can help us because that system, the system that is in place is to benefit them.
I disagree with that. No, because white people that means white people still decide what to do. And that's the system we in right now.
I'm just saying, tell me
and the government, that's what we in. The system of them being controlled.
I'm saying, how can white people help? How can you as a white person help black liberation?
You bet.
They need to be able to take
This is why I say about organizing. This is what I'm saying about being organized. You gotta have an overall vision. So you gotta have a vision for your allies. You gotta know what you want from your allies so that you can stick them in where they need to go. Like it ain't no, you can have all the resources in the world if you ain't organized, they not where they need to go. Y'all got all kind of white people that can help y'all out here. Right now they got money, they got businesses. Y'all don't even know who is who out here.
So we organize amongst ourselves.
You know which white people is the ones that's doctors and lawyers
I'm gonna put it like this. I'm
and
gonna put it like this. What could happen? We talked about this in Zoom call.
Yeah.
This has been my vision for a minute to create this national organizing association in Oregon United Front. If we had all the black organizers in Oregon, or Portland,
me and you would sit down and talk about that because there's no point in us doing the same thing when we can buy.
Facts. And I'm telling you, if we, I'm saying, as black organizers in Portland, if we all went to the Death Center and said, we're cutting out all this shit that's happening with white people trying to organize the Black Lives Matter movement, we can take control. But there is divisiveness, but it's coming together. The organization that weren't working together a month ago, because we swore now starting to work with each other.
And this is my question, going back to compliment what the young lady said, even though she didn't say it correctly. How do we sit down all together where I can listen to all of the black organizers in one room?
How do we?
Where I can sit down and listen to them.
That's what I'm trying to figure out. You feel me? That's why I created Oregon United International Organizing Association. I'm trying to figure out how the fuck do we keep the movement going on a national level with a unified front. I'm figuring out what are not just the demands for Portland, what are our demands for Oregon? What do we want the change to be in Oregon? What do we want the world change to be? Like, and we need all the organizers to get on board with that. Figure out, but the problem is diversity and tactics.
And I think another big thing is like when we have things like this, what people don't understand is you don't talk about the things you do right at these meetings. You talk about the things that are questionably done wrong. It don't mean that we know what streamers are streaming positive shit.
Yeah.
I could give y'all a pat on the back. I'm not here to give y'all a pat on the back about what Portland doing right. I ain't why I'm here. I'm here to talk about the shit that we see across the country wrong. Like, yo, all the shit y'all doing right is beautiful. How do we see more of that and less of the bullshit that the media pushing and the social media pushing?
What you're doing by traveling, like I did that same thing, bro. I'm telling you, it is smart, and that's how we keep the movement going on a national basis. But it's not gonna be consistent. So I'm telling you, the streamers are very important to what we do. Don't get me wrong. I'm not against having streamers at events. What I am against is trying to televise. Are you going to ice?
Yeah, I can't stay for very long, but
Nice to meet you.
I guys me too. I'm just a high guy.
That's just too.
Yeah, that's just
Yeah, we
me.
ain't called this
And I
one.
try to keep myself set up, but I never do.
That's why he had you hold.
I'm holding it, huh?
What's good, Nitty TV?
Oh yeah.
We got group troop.
Give me this back, bitch.
This guy's a cop. Look at him, he looks just like a fucking cop.
Whoop, whoop, what's up, bro? What's up, Jamari?
I'm good. Thank you.
I'm trying to read the chat. You guys are typing quick. What's up, Adam? He's scurried off. Adam. Someone said hi to you. I'm trying to find it. There. Johnny said, what's up, Adam?
What's up, Johnny?
They said hi to you, Jared. What did you guys think of that? Was it a debate or was it like a question? A debate? Yeah, it's a debate. What did you guys think of the debate? What's up, what's up? We do not want to see you. Show Frank, it's history. Frank is having a discussion right now, so he doesn't want to be on camera. New babysitter. What's up, y'all? My name's Trey. I'm from Eugene, Portland. I've been streaming down here since everything started. I saw, first time I seen Nitty was online, and then I got the chance to go see him in DC when I went down to DC. But this is like my first time formally meeting him. He's cool. I like him. You guys be well to Nitty. He's a cool guy. He's good people. I'll let him make. Yeah, a lot of people are trying to talk over each other, kind of, huh? It's bad, but too argumentative. Yeah, I feel like tensions and everyone. I feel like all the the energy and the passion and the tensions between everybody is just like really high right now. So it's like, so everyone's kind of just like on the defense. But it's all with love. Invite Frank to the march tonight. I want him to come. I have an extra gas mask for him if he wants. I have like a police grade one he can use. And I've been picking at my face too much. If you have zits, don't pick them. You look silly like me. See, look at this. I'm ugly and I'm proud, baby. Hello. We're here for Frank. Frank is having a discussion right now, so I'm keeping y'all company. Or are they upset with Frank? I don't think they're upset with him. They're just talking. They're just talking. Like I said, everyone's tensions and stuff are just kind of high from it going on for so long. You know, people are just passionate right now. Everyone's just passionate. Nobody's mad at him. It's all love. Bring his crew. I don't know who Frank came with. I'm not sure. It was the first time that he has been here to have a debate with the people that have been like doing things down here. But like I said, I don't think it came out of like the energy and everything was so high, and everyone's intentions and everyone's like how passionate everyone is about like what they think the movement could be doing better or whatever. Everyone's just like super passionate about it. So.
Are you ready?
Yeah, I'm just waiting until he's ready.
I don't know if you noticed the difference in the way that
Are you going to ice?
Yeah.
me where y'all gonna be at. I'll give you a number right now.
You don't?
415. I know y'all never offended. Y'all never offended. Yeah. But yeah, everywhere I go, it's like I was in DC, it was the same way at first.
Yeah.
Like, why are you and then they start tear gassing us and stuff, and then after that, I told the police, like, look, man, we need to keep running for y'all, like, get the fuck out of our way, and they left. And then people were like, oh, maybe we should listen to this guy. Like,
Yeah, one of the reasons why the protest culture here has changed so much is CBD products. You have stuff that I can put in it. CBD products for you.
oh, it's in the back still.
Where's your stuff?
In the back, that by the fishing stuff.
Okay.
But you can just give it to me out. It's some kids some stuff back here.
The fishing stuff?
I have some fishing stuff back there. To the right.
What I was saying is one of the reasons like our protest culture has changed is because there have been so many direct actions like we're seeing that where people were saying anarchist agitation, causing fire, causing destruction, destroying buildings, and that was causing separation from the people who were actually trying to support. So we started communicating with those people and asking them to not put BLM, not put, anything to do with the movement onto their flyers when they're doing their thing until we actually have demands.
See, what happens is, like I said, you have the city, you and the country.
Right, right.
The city, the problem is, Portland doesn't care how the world views it. That's the true problem. Like they said, we care about what we're doing locally here, but nationally, you're viewed like this.
Right, right, right.
Which is important because it's a national movement. So you have to like.
But that's where like Truth is different than a lot of the other teams, and that's why we're getting everyone like. One of the reasons that a lot of these organizations and us are all unified now is because we started addressing that issue, and we started addressing it between the organizers of the events, like what I was just saying about the actions they're planning and how that's distracting from the movement, and we started incorporating the other people into what we plan on doing. Like for that Proud Boy event that you were talking about, we did the band corps event directly across the street, and everybody was starting to blast saying, "You're just going to counter protest." No, we're not. We're going there for a reason. We have a message about the location and why it's pertinent to this movement, and that's what we're speaking on. And there's going to be no engagement. It's going to be safe. We're going to make sure as best we can, and that's what we ended up doing. So our Vanport event, everybody thought it was going to be a bust. They thought that we were going to end up getting blasted. And nothing happened.
See, like sometimes I go with white supremacists and I go engage them, I talk to them and make their ideas sound stupid.
Well, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, why do you know what I mean? Why are you supporting who you support?
Exactly.
Not just us yelling at each other.
So like, let's all unite now and working together.
Because they want to be entertained, you know what I'm saying?
Hey, what's your name, bro?
Max Smith.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah, no doubt, bro, no doubt. Thanks for coming out here and all that, you know what I'm saying? Like, I was telling Jerry, I felt what she was saying about how we need to be able to communicate nationally to our allies of the cities and whatnot. What I was telling them was that for me, I think that the conversation got fucked up. Everybody's talking about streaming. Like, streaming is the only way we can communicate.
No, yeah, that ain't even communication.
Right.
That's perspective.
But niggas don't listen to the whole thing people say.
Narrative and perspective is very important.
They hear one word, another word, and then they just run off. I don't agree with that shit. Like, let the nigga finish because he has a nuance to what he said. I was the same age. I'm 39 too. And I'm like, the nigga's not just saying like, hey, everybody needs to stream and deal with that shit. Like, personally, I don't give a fuck about shit. And I don't do shit that's gonna get me in trouble in front of a camera. Exactly. And if there's a camera, I know there's a camera there.
I love your emotions. I love your emotions. For real.
I just have to say one thing on your micro. I just want to shout out to the goons. The Goon Squad.
Okay, first of all, you part of the Goon Squad? Oh, that's what's up. I appreciate that so much.
Of course.
So where were you at today?
I actually walked out the room. I literally was on the live, like I walked out the room.
No, the Doom Squad will punch you in your face.
Oh shit, they bitches. They be at it.
On here, I know these niggas can't even hear. Yo.
You like one of them girls that be reading comments.
I would say follow the ground, but I deleted it. I know the vibe.
Be like, why you so young with bad eyes? You like this?
I can't see you.
You young as hell, bro. You should get to read them comments from back here, bro.
Niggas are really commenting hella.
Even when I was talking to him, I said, no, bro, I'm about to abolishing the police. But you can't go from 0 to 10, bro. You gotta go.
Nobody think
right now.
No true abolitionists think
that. Yeah, so you gotta start with reform first.
True abolitionists.
So for me, right, I don't feel like you have to go through a reform step. I think the reform step, personally, I think the reform step is trash. I think back to like my man said, like Rodney King, 25 years ago. I was like 14, right? I remember that shit on C-Watches every fucking day. Riots and all that shit, right? And I was up to now all this is over, we're gonna get reform. But we never got it. But they keep doing that. So what I think we have to do is, I think we have to take away shit. All the results.
I think one thing I want to say though is it's not their fault. It's not the white people's fault. I can't blame them for that. A lot of times with black people, we get a little bit of something and we're satisfied and entertained.
Oh hell yeah.
Don't get me wrong.
So I think that the reason, you know what I'm saying, they didn't get reformed because they stopped with the little success they got. So what I'm saying is, it's like, put it like this. If you got shot right now, and the ambulance said, I can't save you right now, but I can do this, until you get to the hospital, that's what reform is to me. Because you gotta do something while we waiting on that shit to get happen. But this will be, before we abolish the police, what can we do tomorrow? We can't abolish the police tomorrow. But tomorrow, we can force them to fund us into being the new police.
It's like, honestly, but here's what we can do though. I don't want to be the new police. Right?
Nobody, period.
What I want to do is I want to move money from emergency response to emergency prevention. We spend almost $250 million a year here, $1 billion every 4 years, chasing criminals around. Criminals who don't have to be criminals.
I agree with that.
Yeah, important. Half our crime.
I was gonna play just real quick.
I think
say a woman getting her ass whooped right there. And we ain't got, I'm asking a hypothetical question. We don't have us as the police or the police.
But check it out though.
Like what the,
here's why I say that. Why is the woman out there getting her ass beat?
It don't matter. It matters why?
It does matter why.
Okay.
Because why is it happening? Is she out there getting her ass beat because her boyfriend's a dick? Or she out there getting her ass beat because they on some mental health shit? Is these motherfuckers on drugs? Is anybody helping them before they get to the streets to get in fights?
Somebody has to come to agree to say that woman.
Somebody has to come at that point, right?
Right.
But what I'm saying is that shouldn't be the focus of our safety program. It doesn't have to be a police officer.
What do we do after it did? It needs to be somebody which if you need me or you.
It needs to be somebody who can de-escalate the situation.
Right.
The assumption is that
you don't want to see that.
What I'm saying is I don't want.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is we already are doing that here. We already the ones showing up and shit. The cops don't show up when we call them.
Right.
So they're not fixing it now.
If you were paid to show up, now the cops have to listen to you when they show up. We show up already. In my city, we already.
If I show up, the cops ain't gotta show up at all.
Exactly. That's the point I'm trying to make.
That's what we gotta fix.
That's what we have to fix.
Right, but even if you do that, then you still are the new police.
No.
Because you who they call instead of the police.
You are demilitarized.
You know what I'm saying? You can call it whatever you want. You're the person that they call instead of the police.
Right. So only if there's an emergency, you don't have to wear that stuff. If you call someone though, there doesn't need to be. There's no line to call if your boyfriend's gonna beat you up. Okay? There's no line to call if your boyfriend's gonna beat you up.
You hear her?
Yeah.
That's what I'm asking.
I'm saying, where's that? Who do you call if your boyfriend's wilding out and you need to have him calm down?
Right. Hey.
Nobody. You're gonna call the cops after you get hit.
Exactly.
Why is that?
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
I'm saying whoever you call.
But I'm saying though, but you don't have to call. So the police are crime catchers, right? You're chasing after crime.
Right. Yeah, you don't have to call the police.
I'm not
You have to call somebody else.
You gotta get somebody. You need help.
What I'm saying is we're saying the same thing.
In a way.
Because you're saying that you have to have somebody got to come.
Here's what I'm
If
saying.
a woman a woman getting her ass whipped right now, right there, she got to be able to call somebody. Fine, it's not the police. Who she got to call somebody. You can't tell me it's nobody for her to call. That ain't gonna work. You got to be able to call somebody. Is what I'm saying. So individuals like us are better to show up. Now, if this nigga still need to go to jail or something, it's just what it is. Unless you have a prison or a facility for him to go to.
Why is he going to jail?
Because he might be beyond what's going on.
So what happens when he gets out of jail?
They go back because they don't know how to live.
That's not every single person.
How much do we spend putting him in jail?
What I'm so
you
believe nobody needs to go to jail?
No, what I'm saying is this. Yes. What I'm saying is this. Perhaps someone needs to go to jail. Perhaps someone doesn't. Perhaps someone needs to get their ass beat. Perhaps someone doesn't. The cops don't do perhaps someone doesn't. The cops show up and arrest you. The cops came to my house when I was 23 years old because my neighbor called the cops because my baby mom was arguing. And she hit me. She hit me. And when the cops came, they came to take me to jail. I didn't do shit. I said, no, she hit him. I said, don't arrest her. We should have a conversation. She's okay. They arrested her. I paid $1,000 in bail to get her out. Did I get the money back? No. You know what to do. They take your money.
But one key thing you said though, you didn't call the cops. She didn't call the cops. The neighbor did.
Right, but so
the neighbor still needs somebody.
But the problem is the phone call. But the problem is the phone call. It's the person who's responding.
Well, they don't have nobody else to call.
Exactly. That's
the problem.
That's what I'm saying. So then they call us. But
That's what he's saying.
No, he said he don't want to be that person.
No.
That's what we did.
I don't have to be that person.
Right, he don't want to be
There has
that.
to be someone you can call. A counselor. A counselor. A nurse. Someone who can help. You got
But there will be instances where people need to get arrested. That's why.
Maybe.
And in those instances, you don't want the police still coming for that situation. You want individuals like me to come in a situation where they're going to be arrested and detain the individual first and say, okay, here you go. Now you ain't got to shoot them. Now you ain't got to choke them. Now you ain't got to grab them. Now you ain't got to beat them. They have to be arrested. They got, it depends on the situation. Certain shit, they got to be arrested.
So check it out. You and the girl out there in an argument. Blah, blah, should have got off. He's a boom. He smacks or some shit. Somebody calls the cops. Shouldn't be arrested.
I think so.
For what?
If you put your hands on a woman, yeah.
For what?
For putting your hands on her.
For what purpose?
For putting your hands on her for the safety of her. For me, the safety of her.
So if we move him somewhere else, is she safe?
If you move him somewhere else,
If
no.
we take him somewhere else,
No, she not safe.
Why not?
Because he can move around freely.
And then also, what's up about that person?
Can he leave the space he moving to?
So this is the binary. This is the
I'm saying,
binary.
can he leave the space? If a man rape a woman and you put him to another place, can he leave that place? I'm saying it depends. You don't know what happened till you get there.
So here's the thing. You need police to figure that out.
I think that I didn't say we need police to figure it out, but right now the system of them going to jail, we don't have our own prisons to
So what
put
I'm
them
saying
in.
is, if someone
So we have to send them through the judicial system.
So if
The
someone-
police are only supposed to be apprehending people to go through the
the
judicial
judicial
system.
system is the white people's system. That's the carceral state. That's the thing we're
Look,
fighting.
I don't think that the
Are we not?
judicial system is the white people's system. Only
Are you
because
crazy as hell?
Hear me out. Only because black people are teaching us not to go to jury duty. If we had a true jury, our peers, which is black people, then it wouldn't just be a white system.
How am I going to get a black jury?
For the Oregon, I'm just saying, in the city where I live, we tell our kids don't go to jury duty.
If you live in Mobile, bro.
Okay, so I can't completely say that it's the system because I believe that if we actually work the system correctly, that one nigga can get on the jury and be like,
listen,
we off.
listen.
That's the great part of it.
The system is not broken. It is literally doing what it's supposed to
I
do
know,
to
I
black
understand
people.
that part.
What I'm saying is, like, if you look like Breonna Taylor's grand jury, right? It don't matter who won it; they didn't have a choice to vote for it.
Right.
There are definitely things. There are definitely things that don't work great, but could work. But if you really think about it, even the things that do work don't really work for us. When you have a 21-year-old black man gets an argument over like my baby mom, she almost ended up with a fucking record. She would never get no job. With an assault charge, you can't get no fucking job. She was 21 years old. They was she couldn't even get a fucking job. She couldn't work in no school. She was doing daycare and shit. My ex, you know what I'm saying, right? So you get into one altercation with a nigga because I was fucking somebody else and she got mad and hit me and shit, and the police come and try to arrest her and shit. Now all of a sudden she can't get a job. That fucks up my family. That fucks up my kids. That fucks up everything. You know what I'm saying? So what I'm saying, most black people don't have the money to pay $1,000 in jail. She could have sat in jail for 3 weeks further and got fucked up even further. So it's like this is one thing for one person. When you magnify that, you have millions of black people, men and women, getting ran over by the system, and there's no way through it. Yes, some people need to be punished or whatever, but all of us, mostly
non-violent crimes, there's no point of them.
And like in Portland, for example, over half our calls, I think it's 60% of our calls.
I think it's 74% of police calls in Portland did not need to go to the police because the police have to.
I'm saying for homeless people though.
Yeah, and that goes back to what I said. But you still
all
have.
we do is lock them up and throw them back.
Y'all got a lot of homeless people.
But what I'm saying though,
put them in jail is just spending more money for no reason.
So the problem is not just. So the problem is not just the solution. The problem is really thinking this through. Like instead of arresting everybody, right? What the fuck else can we do? And that's why you said it's got to be a process. I can't say today, no cops. That's not going to work. But what I can do is I can say, hey, why are cops responding to after the fact robbery calls? Don't need that. Send insurance deduction. Why are cops responding to after the fact shoplifting? That's a fucking kid. Send the counselor.
People are calling. So when it goes, come back, please.
The people are calling 911.
Come back,
people are calling 911. They're not calling cops.
I haven't had anything to eat, which is why I'm so grumpy.
But the point is, the point is that. Yeah, right.
That's all we know. You can't find it.
People are going to stop calling 911.
They will if we change it.
They're not going to stop calling.
Bro, the thing is,
if you change the number, they will.
Bro, people also
change how it operates. So you know how to change the number, right? I can call 911 and that's in the cop call.
Right. You can say community individual.
Right. 911 is not a cop. 911
you have to say community individual.
911 is here. I'm in danger. Right, but then we don't have to send the cop. That's what we have to change.
Right.
So what we're working on now.
Violence interrupters is exactly what I said in there. When they all book us said, no. And then we're not
getting new cops. We're not
getting new cops. We're not policing the people.
Did you say no? Police the people. They're gonna call us instead. No, they're not policing the cops. They're calling us when we call the cops.
If they call 911, so what you gonna take them to prison?
No, we're taking them to prison.
Take them to jail?
What are you taking them to prison for?
You gonna take them to jail?
Jail for what?
For the crime that they committed.
Even if you took them to
Or are
jail.
you saying that we're not committing no
Bro,
crime?
you take someone to jail for that's a white concept. Why? That's a very European concept.
Because
some of them
process of fingerprints and all of that.
So just putting another a young black kid in the system because he stole some candy, he stole some clothes.
That's
their process.
That's the process for their accountability to go to court. When you're talking about a young kid stealing from the store, that goes back to the store and systemic racism.
No, that's
the kid. No, it goes back to the store saying, you know what? It's a young black kid in this poor community. Get the fuck out of here. Don't come back to this store. But when they call the police, and we had this, I had this conversation because I talked to judges. When you have a kid in the inner city community, call the police. The judge will call and say, okay, I want to let this kid off. The Walgreens will be the one that's like, no, I'm tired of this shit. You come in my store all the time fucking stealing. No, I want justice. He been stealing in my store over and over. Are you saying that business owner in America don't deserve to be protected?
No, but also listen, why is that happening though? Why is that kid going and stealing?
I'm not saying why it's happening. You can't blame. What I'm saying is at that point it's not the judge, it's the Walgreens. That's the one that got the right to say, I don't want to push forward with these charges.
Yes, but
that's systemic.
You're not understanding. We're trying to get to the root of the problem before it happens. Before the kid steals the candy bar. Before he goes.
Right, but what I'm saying is when you come to Walgreens for shoplifting and you saying I want to let this kid go, and Walgreens saying no, I still want him to be prosecuted. Who are you to tell Walgreens they don't got the right to do that no more in America when they had a crime committed against them?
But the problem is,
you should have the freedom to be able to prosecute somebody when they commit a crime against you.
How is that a freedom? Is there freedom
you should have the freedom to prosecute somebody if they commit a crime against you.
That's not a freedom.
That don't make sense. If I slap her right now, she should have the freedom whether or not she want to press charges against me.
Here's the thing.
She should not have that freedom taken away from her. That don't make sense at all.
That's not a freedom.
That's important.
When you hit her, that wasn't freedom. when she hits you back, that's not freedom either. That's a different
I didn't
conversation.
say, no, I didn't say her to hit me back. She has the freedom to say, I want to work this out. I'm not gonna call the police. That's her right.
Okay.
And she also had the freedom to say, I'm gonna call the police because he slapped me. That's her right. It ain't nobody else's right to say she don't have the right to call the police.
You have to call the police.
What is that doing?
If she
Calling the police is not doing nothing for
She
nobody.
call you and she say, I want you to press charges. Can you press charges?
Press charges for what though?
Because she wants to. It's her right to press charges. You can't take that away because you disagree. That's what freedom is. If I commit a crime against her,
Don't be going on capitalism.
That's capitalism, bro.
if I commit
The idea that I have the right,
capitalism is forcing her.
the idea that I have the right to go have the state take revenge for me is not a right. That is capitalism.
That is the people.
That is
So
the
what do y'all think should
That's
happen
the
to
system we live
criminals?
in.
No jail, no arrest.
What is a criminal?
That's a good question.
What is a criminal?
Non-violent offenses. Someone should not go and sit in jail and have to.
I didn't say non-violent. I said if I slapped her. I used the violent offense, and y'all still disagree. So it ain't even that. Y'all don't even believe in non-violence. If I shot you in the head, you don't deserve me to go to jail or nothing. Y'all just say there's another place for me, a place of peace or some shit like Gandhi or some shit. Y'all want to have a conversation with me about that shit?
I think
I don't need to go to jail for that.
I think it like this. Who is it as people?
You're looking at revenge. What you're talking about is revenge. Yes, you are. If someone shoots you,
accountability.
Listen.
No, it's accountability. You know that there's consequences for the shit you do. Before I slapped her, I knew I could go to
What do you
jail.
think accountability is?
What do you think accountability is?
Accountability is when someone
Are you
takes
listening to this
revenge.
conversation? They feel like if I was to slap her, she don't have the freedom to press charges against me.
No, that's not what we said.
That's not what we said.
Because again, if you slap her, that's not freedom. If she hits you back, that's
I didn't say hit me back. I said we talked about her being able to call the police
Her
and
calling
me
the
actually
police.
being prosecuted.
Her calling the police.
She said she can call him. I said if she want to press charges,
call
you
anybody.
said she don't
She
have the
can
right
shoot
to
you
press
herself.
charges.
She can shoot you herself.
She has the right to press charges.
She can shoot you.
But here's the thing.
What's the thing? There's a million
She
options.
doesn't have the full on empowerment because even if you just slap her, she doesn't want you to die for it. So she can't actually call the police, right?
She can, but what I'm saying is, this is my point. If she called him and told him she still want me to press charges, she still want charges pressed like me to be arrested and stuff, even when he comes as a liaison, before the police get there, he can see and peacefully hand me over.
The problem is,
They don't believe that there should be anywhere to send a person because she still feels threatened by it.
Listen, you're looking at
Where
the
is she gonna take him? I can come back and beat her ass.
It sounds like you have too much faith in the system. You are looking at the system like it is.
I'm not having faith in the system. I'm having, listen to what I'm saying. When you leave, I came from jail.
If she calls the cops, you can beat her ass.
If she called him or the cops, I'm talking about when we're done talking. When he comes and he done talking to me, I can beat her ass again. When the police come and they take me to jail, I can't beat her ass in jail.
Yeah, nigga, you're not gonna go to jail alive.
You get home, you can't.
Yeah, but
Right.
that's where the system
Crime prevention.
That's where the
How do we
system
prevent crime from
Then
happening?
we asked
So
for
we
murder.
send-
So
so
I
we
said,
send
what
the
about
counselor.
shooting him? They said, well, maybe I need to go to
This
jail
is
for that.
why we send the counselor.
In my community,
I don't need a counselor for murder. That person needs to be held accountable.
You're fighting
in
your
my
girl to help.
community,
You're fighting your girl.
when
You need
people
help, bro.
are in danger from domestic violence, we have people who stand outside of their homes and protect them instead of calling the police. We have systems in place that
They just don't have
protect
money.
our community. We
I
just need to be
I
able to
personally
pay for
would
it.
not leave black women unprotected like that.
They're
I
not
agree with
protected.
y'all.
They're not
I
protected.
agree with y'all to a
It's not
certain extent.
unprotected.
But when y'all leave there and you beat her ass again, and y'all keep
That
coming back
happens
saying,
now.
well, we not gonna
That
turn them over to
happens
the
now.
police. We just gonna come talk to
Why do you
y'all.
have so much faith in the fucking
I didn't
cops?
say faith in the cops. I got faith that while he's in that actual jail cell, he can't beat her ass
He's
that
not
night.
gonna sit in there for life though.
I didn't say for life. He might sit in there for years.
No,
He might.
Bro, people kill women, they don't get years.
People have gotten years for domestic violence, bro.
Bro,
We're not talking about the exception, we're talking about the rule. I know a lot of people that got
You're talking about
my homeboy got a year and a half fighting domestic violence.
the evidence that you're pointing is a small ass percentage. A small ass percentage.
Is what? Of the individuals that don't get time? That's a small
I'm talking
percentage.
about years for the violence. Yes,
Go ahead.
Thank you. I was in a domestic violence situation with a blonde-haired, blue-eyed white man who attacked me and then got the worst of it. Right? The police came, and I was just an angry black woman with not a fucking scratch on me as far as they knew. My arm was broken. I had a spiral fracture. You couldn't see it, right? He had a bloody lip, and maybe a black eye, and maybe...
Anyway.
Right? But the point was, I protected myself from his attacks. When the police came, there was absolutely no fucking idea in their mind that it might have been him who was the instigator and not me. So you are trying to rely on a system that was built from the very foundation of white supremacy as the slave control and has just been essentially modernized and funded, but it hasn't, its essential goal of protecting property and property owners has not changed for the history of
Gotta look at the
and
numbers.
you want to pull that system into our lives in any way, shape, or form and think that it's not going to cause us more harm than good.
And it's like, look at the numbers, bro.
Yes.
More often than not, we don't need the police.
It's not about needing the police more often or not. It's about because I already said that I believe in having a liaison in between the police instead of the police.
Why do you
But you have to name a system that decides whether things are crimes or not.
The police's job.
You can't have somebody show up and say, well, this is not a crime.
Bro, the police's job is not to define if something is a crime.
That checks to see if something. I didn't say the police job.
That's what you just said. You said you need
I said the police job is to apprehend people. That's it. Not to be the judge, the juror, or none of that shit. That's their only job. So if you there to apprehend them, all they doing is transporting them to jail where a judge and everybody else is going.
They gotta live.
But that's not all they're doing. That's the problem. That's not all they're doing. They're coming out, they're hurting people, they're attacking people.
Right. That's why you put something in between there. But what I'm saying is, either because you don't,
I can't do those things. The cops don't come and do the same thing.
you show up instead of the police.
If I show up, the cops ain't coming. That's what we do here now.
I get that. I get that.
Nigga, and Wireless, you do not call the police anymore. Because what? The police come after the crime, and then what do? Take you to jail?
I understand all
Okay. They come after the crime, take you to jail? Nigga, now we gotta pay $20,000 here now.
That means y'all, the shit y'all being called for is the shit y'all being called for. There's some shit you be called for where you have to call another authority because you don't have a system to lock their ass up there. You don't either.
Lock them up.
Y'all don't. Show it to me. Show me y'all jail. Show me y'all detention center. Show me y'all legal system that y'all created outside of fucking court.
The issue that you're having, don't have money to do it.
Y'all ain't created it yet, so until y'all create it.
If we defunded the police, we would literally have so much more freedom to create better. There's already a system in place.
Right,
we
but,
don't have money.
But that don't mean that jail is a system I don't believe in.
That's
I don't
fine.
believe in.
I believe in abolishing prison.
I don't believe in the prison terms we get in. Do I believe there's people that commit crimes that
Yeah,
need to
do
be
you
locked
know?
up in
Okay,
some capacity?
the Joe Biden bill. The Joe Biden bill.
Do I believe that the white dude that shot the protester in Kenosha need to go to jail? Hell fucking yeah, I believe he need to go to jail. Do I believe Kyle Rittenhouse need to go to jail for killing those people protesting? Fuck yeah, he need to go to jail. So if y'all telling me he don't, that's y'all. I don't believe that.
But the prison system was literally put in.
We're gonna go. Why? You gotta pack anyway.
I feel like
I believe white people that hang niggas need to go to jail.
Right.
I think white people that redliners need to go to jail.
Okay.
I believe that white supremacists that do shit
So
need
you
to go to
wouldn't pay
jail.
for the rest
I
of
believe
your
that Donald Trump should have went to jail when he got it. For the shit he
Think
did.
about why jails were created, bro. Joe Biden passed that bill to create 60 more jails in California. Mass incarceration, bro. Why he did that is because they are using black people as modern day
I get all of that, bro. That's old knowledge.
Okay, so if you know that, why are we sending people to prison for marijuana when marijuana is legal?
I agree with you.
You see what I'm saying?
I agree with that.
But that's the
But don't tell me a murderer don't need to go to prison. Because a nigga with marijuana don't need to go. That's what I'm saying. When we talk about domestic violence abusers, rapists, and murderers, I disagree.
Right. I don't think that
I disagree with a system where people can do whatever they want and then you just talk to them. I can murder somebody, you want to have a conversation about this. I agree. Non-violent crime. But when we talk about violent crimes, you have to have jail.
Okay, I don't fully agree with everything he's saying. I think that there should be a higher power that is an armed force that we call in for violent crimes only.
You wait 10 minutes.